What's poppin', Tub Nation? Welcome back to Tub Takes. This is a video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Adi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast.
Adi coming off of a top 4 at LA. We'll be talking about LA a bit towards the end. There's a lot of other things to cover. We have Justin Burns as well, who also top cut back-to-back regionals that he attended. There was, I guess, regionals in between, but he wasn't in Stockholm. Anyways, how's it going, Justin?
Hello, going pretty good. Top 8 finishers are not allowed to have cameras on this podcast. So.
Dang it, man. It's so true. We don't want to look at you. We're so ashamed. Yeah, it couldn't have been worse. Top 8, can't name a worse finish than that. I think that's as low as it goes. And we have your Los Angeles regional champion here, Mont. How you doing?
Hello, it's going well. Happy to be on. I'm a long-time viewer, first time making an appearance here. So
first time taker.
Yes. Gotta have some hot takes for the tub.
There was a lot of strong finishes from Tub Nation residents, and it was funny because this gave Mont the idea that Mont would not make the cut for the show. Mont was like, "Am I still on for Tub Takes, by the way? Or did you have too many people?" I'm like, "You're literally the top of the list. I'm kicking off Adi. I'm kicking off myself. We're making you making it happen for you."
You can't make more people bubble Tub Takes.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we had Nails and ESM on stream yesterday just to give some of their LA takes because we couldn't fit everything in. Thank you for the sub, the Shara. Happy to hear that you had a solid finish. Anyways,
thank you for the congrats. I'm glad the team report helped. I'm sure Rajan will be excited to hear that, and I think he probably will be on next week if possible because we had so many tubbers do well. Not everyone could be on, and I want to hear about their runs as well.
Let's go ahead and launch into it. I forgot to mention that this is going to be on YouTube later tomorrow. So if you join now, but that you have to go somewhere and you're not going to be here for the end of it, feel free to catch the rest there. Or you could just listen to the whole thing and then listen to it again because you love us. Just play it in the background 3 or 4 times. That's a reasonable amount to be expected of any avid listener. Anyways, with that, let's go ahead and launch into this week's topics. We're saving LA for the end because that's going to be the meat of the subjects on our list today. And so starting off, we're going to talk about Philippine nationals. You thought we were done, but I thought about saving this for last. Another Regulation F tournament. I can't get enough of this. I just love, thinking about, Ensign, Rillaboom, or Shifu. Wait, actually, there's no Rillaboom in the top winning team. Let's go.
Yeah, you got the wrong format if you like Instant Rillaboom or Shifu. Sorry, bud.
That's not, yeah, you're right. But anyways, the Philippine National was Regulation G. It looks like 44 players attended, and the top 8 were granted Worlds
F.
invite. Dragonite did win. I'm a big fan of Dragonite. Thank you for pointing that out. Actually, what is the set of this Dragonite team? Because Dragonite side spam is not something that makes sense to me. It is still... okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. And also, Justin's on cam now. How's it going, Justin? Hell yeah.
Figure out how to turn on my camera.
Nice.
I love that this is open nature on an open team sheet. I think it's so funny. Just looking at the team sheet feels wrong.
Was this the tournament, or was it one that we talked about on a previous week that was open team sheet plus, where now it's everything that open team sheet gets you and nature?
Mm-hmm. I think that all of the Southeast Asian nationals were open nature. I think the one we talked about was Singapore Nats, if I recall correctly. So yeah, I don't know why they're doing it that way. Although notably, this is the last time that we will look at a Regulation F result. Until it's called Regulation, E or whatever it'll be. But yeah, it's
E, bro.
We are whatever. Sorry, H. That's the one. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean. But anyways, yeah, this is the last one. I think all of the Asian nationals that are happening starting in June are going to be Regulation G, including the big one, which is Japan Nationals this upcoming weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And which of course we'll touch on in a little bit. But yeah, it's yeah. Thankfully, we're done with this format. And shout outs to Paul for winning with this Spam team.
Yeah, we're seeing like a lot of like uh ideas that we saw. I think this winning team was not something we saw in Regulation F, but like the snow team that everyone remembers from Utrecht that Tayo won with, and some other teams. But yeah, mostly I'm just highlighting the fact that 8 players here of the 44 earned a Worlds invite. The top 2 getting that round 1 bye and travel award. So very likely that you'll see the top 2 there attending. Whether or not the remaining players, we'll see if they want to pay for their own travel or not. I just know that like it can be expensive. So, but they have earned their right to qualify or to play.
Yep. And I hope that it's reasonable to get from Philippines and from the rest of Southeast Asia to Hawaii more so than a normal year.
Right. Right.
I got to hang out with some of the Filipino players at Worlds last year. It was super cool. One of them, I forget who, I'm sorry, but one of y'all said called Tub Nation the best shit posters in VGC.
Hell
and
yes.
I really appreciate
Honestly,
that. That is absolutely correct.
I take that with pride. We shitpost so well. Anyways, the next one, I actually didn't know if I was gonna have anything to show you. The Mexico City special event. We had been waiting for the results on this one for a little bit. I know it's only like Tuesday or whatever, but usually the results are up like Sunday night. And I was just thinking like, yeah, we're probably not gonna be able to actually talk about what happened here. But sure enough, we've got teams and results from the Mexico City special event. This was Sunday only, and it's yeah, it's a special event. It was in Mexico. It looks like it had 134 players in attendance, and it was won by Davidness. That's a name that I think longtime players will be familiar with, and with a team that also looks relatively familiar.
Do we want to talk about this team now or later?
Right? I don't know.
Do we want to just compare all the Calrex teams later?
Yeah, I want to know, Mont, what do you think about this team?
I don't know. I mean, it seems pretty solid of a team to me. If I had to say,
Yeah.
No, the item choice is interesting on the Calyrex Shadow, the clear amulet. I don't think I've ever seen that on a Calyrex Shadow yet, but in theory, it makes sense for a couple things. To not get parting shotted for one, and then you don't get those stat drops on some moves like we saw with like also similar logic for Covert Cloak. But yeah, the team looks solid. The Clefairy set is also kind of interesting. Icy, Wind, and After You. I know Clefairy has a lot of moves that it can run right now, but that's not the most like common choice. But other than that, things look like standard and very similar to a certain other team that just won in Los Angeles. So maybe we'll talk about that one at some point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, well, maybe if we have time. Let's be reasonable here.
Yeah, Mont and I were comparing notes about because we had such similar teams, and like, oh yeah, like it has this in common with your team, this in common with my team, and I see when Clefairy was not something either of us ran, but is I think actually very cool. I think if I was running an attacking move on Clefairy, that would be the one, just because it is kind of a cool secondary form of speed control, and I didn't even consider it, but in hindsight, maybe that would have been a cool choice.
Jumping ahead a little bit, like talking about like it's no secret what ended up winning Los Angeles with Mont's Shadow Rider win, but like I think the fact that this happened at multiple tournaments on the same weekend kind of shows that like you want to attack the meta where it's at or where it's headed. Like like if you could make a good call into where the metagame is at in this like single restricted format, you really can like rise to the top because you're capitalizing on the fact that people aren't respecting what you are trying to bring. I think that was what Shadow Rider did this weekend. Is like it found a low point in the amount of people that were respecting it and shot to the top because of it.
Mm-hmm. Winning is definitely easier when you have easy matchups, but at the same time, I was looking at the top 8, and you see there are 2 Terapagos in top 8, and David has actually played one of the Combine Terapagos in top 8 and beat them, which is pretty impressive. That when I was building Calric Shadow, I thought it would be one of the hardest matchups. They have a bunch of other things to make life miserable, like screens, and stuff like that. David Niss was running not running Covert Cloak with Clear Amulet, and so he couldn't get parting shotted, but he could get double faked out. So there's a lot of tools on the team that that on the Tropicos team that make life miserable for the Calyrex player, and he got through it. And so yes, part of it is calling your shot, getting your matchups, getting good matchups. I look at the top 4 and finals matchups, and I think those look pretty favorable for the Calyrex player. But you also have to be able to know your lines and play very precisely into your bad matchups and find ways to win those. And that is, I think, the hardest part of this format. That is the part that is the most impressive to me when I see players do it. I got DMs about how do you beat Terapagos with your team. So it was really cool to see David just. I didn't get to watch, obviously, but it's cool to see that David just managed to beat one of the hardest possible matchups for this team in top 8 on route to winning the tournament.
Jimmy asked, do you expect people to go hard on anti-Shadow Rider stuff again for NAIC? Definitely. Like, everyone's just super reactionary when it comes to this Regulation G format. People are just copying what's doing well. People are preparing to beat what's doing well instead of trying to think one step ahead. And I think that you can see the people that are thinking one step ahead are really, reaping the benefits. It's like, it's tricky because it's like, okay, what is going to be the natural pick to beat Shadow Rider comps now? And then it's just like, well, if that's what I need to be running the thing that beats Shadow Rider comps and the thing that beats the Shadow Rider comps that beats the Shadow, or the thing that beats the thing that beats the Shadow Rider comps. While also not losing to the other things that are common, like Kali Ice, who's just always there. So yeah, it's a tricky balance. But that's like what I love about VGC is, picking what you think you're going to fight and seeing if you can get that call right or not. Looking at some of the other teams, I don't think I have much to say about the second place team. It does have Urshifu Water, which is technically a little bit different for these teams than like we've seen in the past. But at the end of the day, it's like a lot of the same pieces as these Miraidon teams. And the one in top 4, I wanted to highlight a little more because I just thought it was funny that I swear this was like Rajan's earlier version. When I was reading Aaron Trailer's report, I actually learned more about Rajan's process by reading Trailer's report than the actual place that Rajan, builds his teams in Tub. You would think. Anyways, and I learned there was an Iron Hands Hearthflame version, and this is what that looks like. Oh, what? Wait, that's Swords Dance. Hold on, I don't know if Rajan ever talked about Swords Dance. That's crazy. Whoa, kind of cool. But yeah. Any other teams here that you guys want to give a shout to or mention?
I think that Lunala team is very cool. There's always Lunala is probably like the 8th best restricted, right? You have to really opt into using Lunala, but there's always one dude who either gets top 8 or top 16 with Lunala or Ursaluna. And yeah, I just it's super standardized. I don't think people are really deviating too much from the core 5. But it is cool. It always is cool to see that restricted do well when I don't know. It feels underpowered, but also I don't think anyone's respecting it, and it keeps doing well over and over again.
What would you say is the core 5 here, Adi? I feel like I've been seeing a lot of these teams too. Is it like Insin, Ursa, Bolt, and Amoonguss, I guess?
I thought the Bolt was the flex slot, but I might be misremembering. We're gonna see a version of this that got top 16 at Los Angeles as well, and I can pull that up right now, or we can talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But let's go ahead and move on to the next tournament. The next tournament is also Regulation G and another special event, Lima. I might have forgotten to include this one in the preview last week, so apologies for that. Anyways, this was won by Dorian, who what was the event before? Was it Santiago? I think Dorian had a pretty deep run in Santiago. Let me go ahead and pull that up just to see if I'm crazy or not. Yeah, here we go. Dorian using a very similar team, that Volcarona Terapagos. And yeah, it might even be the exact same 6. Yes. Here again. So yeah, Dorian winning it all with a team that he knows well. I mean, obviously a very strong player. Several good Worlds finishes under his belt. And yeah, this is I mean, we talked about the team already, so I don't really have anything new to say about it. But it's a just a good testament that I guess CM Turtle, Calm Mind Turtle can still do it because it seems like everybody thought Specs was the way to go.
And this is a T. Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of the Peruvian players were working on this. We see not only the top 2 players using variants of it, but also the 9th place player using the same team. And so sometimes when you go to one of these tournaments, smaller special events, I think this has 63 players. You have to know your local meta. In fact, I'm very maybe they did it because Shadow Rider was so common. We see 3 Shadow Rider in top cut. Maybe like I don't know. Maybe it's just like the best players in the region. I know Dorian is especially good. I know Sebas is especially good using Terapagos. So maybe some of the best players in the region just kind of chose to use this as their restricted of choice, and have just been working on this specific variant of the team. But yeah, I think that it is definitely really strong, and I am excited to see these players at NAIC because this is such a regional meta trend, and I'm sure that they're going to bring it to Nats. I'm curious how it's going to do into Nats when you have a metagame that is a little broader. I think that is a little less centralized.
Mm-hmm. I gotta give a shout out to Indy for the raid. How's it going, y'all? I don't know if Indy was playing VGC or Unite. So if you're a little less familiar with VGC, we're talking about the results of the tournaments over the past weekend. We actually have the LA regional champion right above me, right here. So feel free to drop your congrats to Mont. You watched every game on stream. Nice. Hell yeah. I mean, VGC is very enjoyable, watchable content. I feel it's also good for watch party type rewatch streams too. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for the raid. This is our like I already said, we're recapping the stuff, and we're in the middle of talking about the Lima special event. We'll be talking about the results of Los Angeles a bit later. But yeah, thank you so much. Any other teams that we want to mention here from Lima? Oh wait, hold on. I missed a chat question earlier because somebody asked their thoughts, our thoughts on banded Koraidon. I think I'll answer this as the person who ran Koraidon over the past weekend. Clear Amulet is so crazy busted on it, but not just because of Intimidate, but there was Icy Wind. That was another thing that really would have annoyed me if I was getting speed dropped by that. It's so easy to Terra Fire your Koraidon, and then this Pokemon does feel very hard to remove. There's not a lot of rock type attacks. Water type attacks are neutered by the sun. Ground is also not super duper common. So you Terra Fire it, and then the Flutter Mains, they're going for Icy Wind. If they Icy Wind you and try to slow you down, that's gonna ruin your vibe, especially if you're flame charging to get speed boosts. There was a number of times where I was getting hit by a Bleak Wind from Tornadus. You're going to be either weak to that or neutral to it. And every single time I was just I don't have to sweat that 30, 20 pop quiz in the call. Is it 30 or 20? Percent chance on the Bleak Wind drop? Burns, what is the answer?
It's 30.
30? It's so stupid that Bleak Wind is a 30% chance to drop.
Yeah, Sandsteer and Wild Bolt are the 20%.
Oh, so does Springtide have a 30 on attack?
Yeah.
That's funny, but it doesn't, as many know already at this point, it does not get the boost in accuracy from Rain, as silly as that is. Opinion on Mr. Mime? I don't know if there's anything to save Mr. Mime. Sorry.
Give him follow me back. I don't know.
Wait, did that guy have follow me?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
Inder asks, what was the purpose behind Stellar Terra on non-Terapagos mons like Urshifu? That one I can answer, because I ran that. I ran Stellar Urshifu, and it is specifically for Terapagos. And I can do this right now, in fact. My Terapagos take, obviously, is a great time to do it while we see a tournament where Terapagos had the top 3 slots. But yeah, my Terapagos take was that I think the people didn't know how to play against Terapagos for the first 2 weeks. It had a lot of really cool mechanics that people maybe weren't super familiar with that helped the players who were familiar with it do very well with it. But also, people didn't really build their team thinking about how Terapagos plays, namely that it really stopped you from using your Terra effectively. A lot of Pokemon want to use their Terra, especially Terra defensively or Terra defensively and offensively, ideally, for a Pokemon like Koraidon. and you need to be able to and so Tropicos is really strong because it denies that mechanic altogether. That is a huge resource that you're trying to deny. If you build your team in a way where you have a really useful Terra into Terapagos, and when it's the third most use restricted or the second most use restricted, you really should game plan for it. And you build your team in a way where you have a specific Terra that you want to use in that matchup. Usually an offensive Terra, usually on a Pokemon that has something like a Focus Sash, so it doesn't care about taking a Terra Starstorm. Then all of a sudden you are no longer being denied that resource. And in the case of Stellar Urshifu, it allows you to close combat and KO from full if they have already terrestrialized. So that was my reasoning for Stellar Urshifu. I think it's pretty strong right now because Tropicos is really strong.
Mont, you didn't have because you also had Sash Urshifu, but you had water.
Yeah, that's correct. I had water on mine. There were like some random times where water was relevant if I was doing like a lot of Surging Strikes and Aqua Jet stuff, but honestly, it wasn't super common, and I think I would just take, the guaranteed one hit on like Terapagos after they terrestrialize sometimes. So I do think Stellar is a really good way to run Sash Ursha as well. I think, yeah, that could definitely more improving that Terapagos matchup, which is kind of usually horrible for Shadow Rider. I think is definitely worth it.
I went 2-0 against Terapagos. That's a. Well, it
Nice.
turns out that actually really does like help a lot. It was really a game changer in that matchup. So
Yep.
Does Stellar close combat like Oko other Ursh or no?
I do not
You
know
mean
that
water?
Calc.
You mean water Ursh, right?
Well, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I guess it would obviously do enough to KO a Dark Ursh if it's not sashed or something. But yeah, I meant water Ursh.
Then I don't know.
Um,
Maybe we can save it for.
That's true. We could do it for Calca's right. That's fair. That's fair. Maybe that'll be mine. We'll see if people can get their numbers because I think it's close. We had another question. Why third place is 6-0 means he never lost? Oh, so that's just this is just their Swiss records. So after 6 rounds of Swiss, this is the records that they had, and then because this was a smaller tournament, they only played a single set of Swiss and then cut to a top 8 cut. Where that bracket is shown here. Then they just play an elimination bracket. They don't update the records with how they finished, so like Dorian shows 5-1 here, technically was 8-1 when everything was said and done after winning the tournament, but this is just to show the Swiss record. Yeah. Any other teams from Lima we want to talk about? There was a Mienshao.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't have too much to say about the Mienshao. It looks like they have some fun techs like Misty Terrain, Whimsicott. Misty Terrain has like so many uses in this format. I think that's like kind of insane. Like you can stop the spores from the Amoonguss. You can stop the Grassy Glide from Rillaboom. You can turn off Electric Terrain on a Miraidon like that. You can turn off Psychic Terrain and start going for fake outs. Like just wow, Misty Terrain just thinking about it.
Reggie Drago or Draco from Miraidon.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah. That's actually so fun. Like, yeah. Oh, wait. I forgot Misty Terrain, like, really makes Miraidon sad. Because if you try to play around the fact that you lost your Electric Terrain...
You can't even Draco.
That's so messed up. Why Clear Amulet over Cloak? We kind of talked about this earlier. Or actually, I think we talked about it off stream, maybe. But, because we saw that was what won Mexico City, I believe. And, there is only one move in particular that Clear Amulet has an advantage over... when it comes to, I don't know if there's any others. Mont's thinking right now, but I think it's just Parting Shot.
Eerie Impulse.
Oh, let's go! He's got one. Eerie Impulse is another one that will be more annoying for the Covert Cloak Calyrex, but mainly Parting Shot from Incineroar. Snarl is denied by Covert Cloak.
The other thing is that the Whimsicott had Covert Cloak. So...
Scary Face, good shout, and yeah, Burns makes a good point.
I did face Scary Face. I did face a Scary Face Tornadus. Did not
he probably preferred having the cloak on the Whimsicott and then put the Clear Amulet on the CSR instead.
Yeah, just gotta settle at that point. It still does dodge the good moves like Icy Wind and Snarl, while losing out on the benefits of just like Fake Out and anything else that I'm missing for Covert Cloak. What else is Covert Cloak getting besides Fake Out?
No Bleak Wind drops.
No Bleak Wind drops.
Yeah,
well, no,
Cloak
they
does
both
that too.
get. get Bleakwind dropped.
Oh, sure, yeah. Okay.
I know you're not. You were a different item. You were spell tag or whatever. So
I'm a spell tag believer.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
you can just sometimes plot through some of the snarl and the -1 drops, depending on the partners and stuff. But
What did you run? Spell tag or spooky flame?
I did spell tag with the logic that I don't know. I could see people maybe thinking that spell tag does something else than ghost boost. It has a kind of funny name. Like, isn't there another tag item that does something weird?
Cleanse tag, I believe. I think that's like an item that makes wild encounters a little less common. I swear.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
googling.
like, I was like,
I gotta
maybe
know.
maybe they'll think spell tag does something funky. But yeah, I don't
I
know.
was
Maybe,
right.
maybe there's a case to be made for the plate.
Imagine if you messed up your team sheet and you had cleanse tag. Anyways, is cleanse tag even in Scarlet Violet? I don't know. I would have picked Spooky Plate because like you get to run an item that has spooky in the name. Like that's just too good. But anyways,
Spooky Rider.
it is Spooky Rider, Calyrex Spooky form. Okay, but yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Oh, wait,
Hold up. I got to talk about. First off, there's a couple of cool teams in top 8 that I do kind of want to touch on.
Right.
But I especially want to say, Renzo, I am so sorry. You had the meta call. You picked Caridon in a field that was full of Tropicos, and of course, in top 8, you played the one Calyrex Shadow Rider. That sucks.
That does suck. That's what I was hoping to face at LA as a Caridon player. It was just like, just give me Turtle every round. Like, I have this solved. Like, I have it figured out. And yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. And then the other team that I thought looked pretty cool was the Smeargle Calyrex Ice team. That was also a team that I think people were expecting to see a little bit of in Los Angeles because of some, tweets that went out from some notable SoCal players. But yeah, it's cool to see a very different take on Calyrex Ice that is much more offensive, that gives you the pure like firepower that Decorate Smeargle can give you, that the Specs Torkoal can give you. A lot of these Calyrex Ice teams that I've seen don't even really want to set up Trick Room or set it up very situationally. And this team looks like it does it a lot more aggressively and really tries to power through in Trick Room, which is a very different approach. And also, I guess, also very successful here. Also did quite well in Los Angeles. And yeah, it's just cool to see, especially with Smeargle. I don't know if Smeargle has had a result yet in this generation. So
I'm still saying that Smeargle should be seeing more usage. That Pokemon has a very annoying toolkit. I mean, obviously it has every move or whatever, but like, there are so many ways that you can build it to do exactly what your team needs. And so because of that, and like, this is one of the main things that I like to give Smeargle a shout for, especially, as we just saw Shadow Rider win a tournament, is that it is a normal type with Wide Guard. So you can, protect your one Pokemon, switch in that Smeargle on the Astral Barrage, and then prevent future Astral Barrages with Wide Guard. Pelipper, as we saw, I think, in the finals, Pelipper switched in against Mont for just a casual 99%, and then was able to click Wide Guard afterwards. But, like, taking 99% is usually something you want to avoid. Is there any chance Garganacl could be played? His passive makes him tank Shadow Rider, right? I think it just doesn't match the pace of play, is the main thing. Like, a lot of the good Wide Guard Pokemon, or I guess, like, just good Pokemon in general are a lot more, like, active or, like, disruptive. And Garganacl's, like, big payoff move is clicking Salt Cure, which is doing 1/8 chip. Is it, like, 1/8 if it's neutral? It's been a minute.
That sounds right.
Since I thought about Garganacl. But Garg, it only gets to do, like, a little bit of chip. And that's just, like, not going to be enough, especially, like, when you're forced to click Wide Guard every turn, and that horse might click Draining Kiss, it might click Nasty Plot. And if you get that wrong, they get a lot of value.
I think Garganacl is doing what Tinglu does, but worse. Obviously, Tinglu doesn't have Wide Guard, but it still is reducing the Calyrex's damage, and Sand Tomb is a better move than Salt Cure a lot of the time because of its trapping effect.
That's kind of true. That is kind of true. But yeah. Let's see. Was there any? Yeah, there was also this Como team. It was kind of similar to Paul Ruiz's idea of the double plot. In fact, did Paul have maybe exactly these 6? I don't remember if Paul had whims. Maybe Apollo Torn. Anyways, very similar. So probably not a lot to say about that one. Let's go ahead and preview the upcoming events this weekend. I want to make sure we have enough time to talk about LA because there's gonna be a lot to say about LA. So many good results there. And this weekend we have 2 events coming up. We have Japan Nationals and Bologna. I refuse to pronounce it any other way. It's Bologna. Bologna. What is it actually? This is anything
Bologna.
now?
Bologna.
Bologna. Okay. So Bologna. But let's talk about Japan Nationals first. This is the one that I'm the most excited for, even though like it feels crazy to say that like Japan is gonna have like so much implication on the metagame when they play such a drastically different format, but like the people in Japan think about the game so differently than us that they will bring forward things that we were ignoring or failed to see, and it's really going to shake things up for NEIC, the results of Japan Nationals. Definitely the same for Bologna as well. But, yeah, Japan Nationals is going to be exciting. Going to be rooting for John Hu. Make sure everybody here is rooting for John Hu this weekend. John Hu,
John.
not like fish out of water, but, he is the like, the imposter among us, That's what he is. He's the American over there in the Japan circuit. Like, I love it. I think John was in the chat here. Yeah. Anyways, I'm a fish.
We will try to get him on. We will try to get him on next week, especially if he makes his goal and gets top 8, which I entirely believe in him. Unironically, that was not sarcasm, but yeah, Japan Nats in general, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see like who is willing to yoink a team from Sunday and lock it in on Thursday. That is always a very like spooky idea for me, to not have that any prep basically. But we consistently see Japan Nationals teams do very, very well at NEIC. There's always this sort of 1 to 2 weeks in between. I remember, back in 2018, we saw the Kirifumi won with Nido Queen, and then we saw that do pretty well at the NEIC. I'm sure there were other examples. I think was it who was it who won with the Balancy team that was everywhere? That actually that's very big. That could have been multiple years, but I was thinking about last year.
I want to throw a question from Indy, but at Burns, because I feel like Burns might have a good take on this. Indy said, "Are there regions that are considered stronger?"
Are there regions that are considered stronger? So I think it's pretty universally accepted that Japan is the strongest region. Their player base is huge, and their qualifiers are like very, very competitive. Then after that, there's debate. Obviously, NA will sometimes pop off at tournaments. Sometimes Europe will pop off at tournaments. I think right now I'd say like, I'm sure that everyone here hates, you guys hate for me to say this, but Europe I would say is slightly ahead of NA right now.
And that's all the time we have for Justin, guys. We're gonna have to, ask Justin to leave. Thank you so much for, giving your takes.
But I think, I think it's pretty like between the 4 TPCI operated regions, NA and Europe are like interchangeably 1 and 2. LATAM is 3rd, and then you have Australia and New Zealand at 4th. After losing most of Asia.
I was gonna say the thing that like really like makes it hard to assess Australia is just like they have like the least events of any of the regions that we're looking at, and so you don't see a lot of results. The player base is pretty small. Whether it's a chicken or the egg situation, like it's hard to say, but like if you don't have a lot of tournaments, you're not going to generate a lot of players, and then if you don't have a lot of players, they're not going to be need for a lot of tournaments, and so it's just like it's kind of sucks. Anyways, yeah, Japan, just the main thing that is I like to credit Japan is that they think about the game so differently because their circuit encourages them to. For the majority of it, they play best of 1 closed team sheet, and then they're playing this strange structure we should break down, but let me go ahead and find where that's talked about. So for those that
also
don't...
have like
Go ahead, Burns.
We have like Japanese players sometimes pop up at international tournaments. Like we just saw Suika get 2nd at Stockholm,
Mm-hmm.
and then he turned around and got top 32 at LA, so you can draw the conclusions from those two results.
Yeah, so it sounds like NA over EU easily. He went to Stockholm and easily got second, and then came here and barely got top 32. It sounds like NA over EU. I don't know.
Most of his losses were to people from Tub at both tournaments. So I mean,
all I'm saying is, how many Europeans cut Los Angeles? Because I know how many Americans cut Stockholm.
Tub Nation is in fact the strongest region. Now that you mentioned it. Anyways, let's talk about the structure of this tournament. So, for those that don't know, the global challenges that happened over earlier in the year, there was 3 of them. The top 150 players from Japan were all collected, and then the 450 players all played in an online tournament where the top 64 would move on to play in the online stage. We've talked about those plenty in past episodes, so I'm not going to break them down further than that. But 64 players can now go to the live stage and compete for a chance at I think they're all guaranteed a Worlds invite, right? Yeah, this is already a Worlds invite.
Yeah, they're playing for a travel award as well as, I believe, a T-shirt.
No,
I'm not kidding.
hold on.
They get they get a T-shirt and a hat and a travel award.
Is there actually no prize money?
Don't forget the round one bye. Don't forget.
And you only get the travel award if you win. If you just get top 8, you just get the cap.
Adi, don't forget the round one bye.
Wait, no. You get the travel award if you get top 4. Is what it says.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, and you get a trophy for top 4. Okay, that is pretty cool. But it sucks that that is pretty meager prizing compared to what we get for just doing well at regional level tournaments here, much less international level tournaments here. But yeah, they get their Worlds invite, they get the bye. I don't know if the other stuff really has that much value if you don't get top 4, which does kind of suck because it is maybe the toughest tournament of the year every year other than Worlds.
Everyone already has an invite or a Worlds invite, so like it's not like you're playing to have a spot in Worlds.
I'm saying give them cash prizing, man. If you win Japan Nationals, you should be getting some money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think their laws permit that, but
yeah. Let's see. What else did I want to mention?
You can hire a lawyer and look into that, Adi.
Do you know a lawyer? Do you know any lawyers that have any interest in Pokemon?
No,
I don't know any.
No, there's no lawyers in Pokemon.
I know Japanese code. I heard Chris Con's a lawyer in Japan.
I was gonna say I actually I was gonna mention the same thing, Burns. Anyways, here we go. I found the structure. It says players will be seated in a 64 best of 1 double elimination bracket. Holy. All rounds will be played until only 8 players remain. This is after winners round 5 and losers round 8. The remaining 8 players will then face in a fresh new best of 3 double elimination bracket. Wait. So does it get reset if you're in losers?
It gets reset. That's crazy.
Get reset.
Okay. Gosh, this is so strange.
Wait, so that means I guess if you go into losers early, it's cool, but if you make top 8 from winners, usually you just have to win 1 set to make top 4. But if they reset the bracket, then you have to win 2 sets in top 8 to make top 4.
Is it still closed team sheet? It should not be closed team sheet. I think it'll be closed team sheet until top 8. And then top 8, they will post them on the wall. That is how they do their open team sheets. I don't think they're going to have printed out sheets like us. They post them on the wall.
But what's funny is that Japan Nationals has been doing open team sheet like this since before we ever had open team sheet here.
Literally 2016. I don't know. I remember that was how we would find out the results, is somebody would post the pictures of these team sheets on the wall, and it was so crazy. It was just what the structure of this tournament is so foreign to us. Now we've been playing open team sheet, and we're much more familiar with it, but it was so crazy to see those back in the day.
Is it open nature?
Last year it was, so it might be again.
Can't wait to find out what the nature on Calyrex ice is.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
mean,
of funny.
isn't it you could do some stupid stuff if you know it's Adamant versus Brave, right? You can
Yeah,
use
I
different
guess
EV
so.
spreads.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of important natures right now. I mean, even knowing if the Miraidon is timid or modest, like
Mm-hmm.
that makes a huge difference in how a lot of teams are going to approach that matchup.
Yep. Yes, Samuel for Flutter mains, I think most of them are timid these days, but if you ever see a modest one, it changes how you approach it a lot. Do players figure out other pro players' natures and share it mid tourney? Yes, like there's
Sort of.
still information networks, but it's like nowhere
I
near
think
as impactful as it was in the
the
past.
only thing that like is real important is figuring out speed stats. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have like something that's like a max speed raging bolt or something, people usually will find out pretty quickly because it'll be like, oh, their bolt outsped my like Rillaboom, and I have like a bit of speed in Rillaboom, and just like tidbits of information like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
add up, and usually you figure out how what.
It's only if they're at the extremes, Like we're not so like in tune that I'm like, yeah, Adi, I just played this guy. His Incineroar is definitely 252 HP, 156 defense with a impish nature, at least 92 speed EVs, and the rest is probably special defense. Like it's not. It's more like okay, their Incineroar seems to be very physically defensive, and it was faster than my 92 speed stat Pokemon. So.
So I can give you an example of this happening because it happened to me and Rajan this weekend where I played Joji Keita, who got second at Stockholm, and then Rajan played him later in the tournament. And I found out that his Chiyu was modest. It was modest Sash, and that was really nice because I was Jolly Urshifu. I got to outspeed him and KO him. And then Rajan, I told Rajan that before he played the set, and Rajan got to outspeed him with his Booster Energy Fluttermane. And that was so. This does come up. It does, but it's not like there's a huge network. In this case, it's just like, yeah, we're friends. We play the same person. We're gonna talk about the matchup a little bit. It's not like we have these huge networks that we talk about it in. Although I know that the Italians have one of those at Worlds.
Well, I was gonna
so it's really
say,
fun.
no, Adi, the networks exist. You're just not in them. Like we just don't,
I see.
we don't include you.
Yeah, we have a whole like world scouting tub that you specifically are not a part of.
Mont's in there, right, Mont? Like
Yeah, it's crazy in there.
yeah. We
We
really should
talk
get you
about
added,
Audi
Adi.
too.
We'll take
Yeah,
we'll get you in there eventually.
like
when
scouting, and then that Audi guy sucks.
Yeah, we have
We
two
don't-
channels.
We don't even.
Wait, I thought that was Tub Takes.
We don't even post people's scenes. We just kind of trash talk Audi.
Two channels, one for scouting and one for shitting on Adi. And the Adi one is a lot more active. Okay, let's go ahead and finish talking about Japan Nats. So this will be streamed. Right? Let me find that. Yeah, it's streamed. It's set to be streamed. As on a personal note, we might end up, doing some rewatching it here on Tub Nation, whether we can catch it live or a rebroadcast. But I know several tubbers and myself were interested in doing it because, like, it's a very good spectator event. They really bust out some crazy stuff in these teams. So, yeah, no, that's a great example, Max. Like the itemless Talonflame that won, it's just like so sick. And anyways, anything else that we need to mention about Japan before we talk about Bologna?
If you're stealing a team, steal Hirofumi's team. It's always the best team. The team I was thinking of, the other team, was that we stole Hirofumi's 2022 Nats team for Worlds in 2022, or we made some adjustments to it, but we stole the idea. But yeah, he won back-to-back Japan Nationals, which is just so incredibly impressive given the format. One of my just favorite players in general.
Is that Davidness in the chat? Congrats on the win, if that is.
Yo, congrats.
Anyways, Bologna, Italy. It is. Well, congrats on the finish. We were talking about the clear amulet on your Pokemon, the Calyrex, because these guys are believers in different items, and so we were asking questions about the clear amulet on the guy. Cali Shadow, yeah. Okay, Bologna should have a stream. It's being streamed by Victory Road. Nice. It's a special event. It looks like it's gonna be pretty massive. It
Is
says
Pokemon not streaming it?
I guess I think it's official. They
Well, yeah, will it be
Pokemon
on the
official
Pokemon
like they
channel?
still do special events, right? If it in Europe, like if it's a
It says it will
Yeah.
be live on Twitch and YouTube with list of players on Pokemon. Yeah, it's on the Victory Road page.
right. Okay.
We see Boyd, Lee, Marcus, and Charlie are going to be streaming or are going to be casting it.
It's a fun crew with Charlie as well. And yeah, definitely going to be another important one to watch. You know, I'd argue that Japan feels like it's going to have a slightly larger impact on the meta going into NAIC, but you know, if you want to know what like boring teams you need to beat, then you know, make sure to tune into the results of this one.
I mean, there's going to be more people at this tournament will be attending UIC than.
That's true. I know that, you know, if Mont isn't considering running it back for NAIC, this is where he's going to find his new team.
Mm-hmm. So,
I think this is very funny because Europe is notoriously obsessed with CSR as of like 2022, where everybody loved to use CSR at their regionals. And we just had CSR, you know, kind of pop off at multiple events this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we're probably going to see a huge spike in CSR usage this weekend, just because that's kind of what historically Europe likes to do.
Yeah.
it's no. I was told that Italy especially likes Caloric Shadow. They especially have been enjoying hyper offensive Caloric Shadow players. I think Otto was really championing that in a lot of last generation, for example. So yeah, I would expect a lot more Caloric Shadow in Italy, especially now that you know Mont and I and Davidness have kind of shown everyone the way of how to use it.
I know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mont.
I was gonna say, like, even early on in Reg G, like in those very first days or weeks of it, I think like a lot of the Europeans were the ones who were really pushing forward especially the balanced Kali Shadow builds. You can look at some of them and they look really similar to the ones that I mean, I took a lot of inspiration from them as well, so I would not be surprised to see a lot of them run it back and be like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely like good, and we knew this."
I was gonna say, I know that they saw Mont's win and they all called up all their friends. They were like, guys, we're so back. Ensign, Rillaboom, Urshifu just won the regional in LA. We're so back. Like
I had 3 people attending this event DM me asking me about how I use my team. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to see a lot of Caloric Shadow.
oh my god, man. It's so cringe. Mont, why couldn't you be more like Rajan? Run cool stuff. Come on.
Well, I don't know if that would have won this past weekend, so
No. Nothing cool. Got a top cut. You're right.
Wow. Okay.
Is there anything else we want to mention about this one? I don't know. We don't normally do like difficulty ratings or smart money for Europe. Do we want to do smart money for this one real quick or no? I mean, I don't know who all's in attendance, honestly. So
I'm gonna put smart.
Go ahead, Birds.
I'm
What do
gonna
you
put
got?
smart money on. I don't know,
Torby, good pick.
He's
Good
probably
pick.
gonna body
Yeah,
bag the regional.
I'll just go ahead and pick. You know, the only other Tubber that I know to be attending, Roxon. Cool.
I don't know if they're going, but if he is, Sam V, I think.
Hell yeah.
Strong player, so he's worth betting on.
Get him DB.
This is, in fact, regional champion Montana Mont that you're looking at here on the stream.
I think that my smart money is Desu. I think that he's always got really cool takes on the metagame. And if anyone can innovate, it's going to be him. If anyone can beat the local meta especially, it's going to be him.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to LA then. We've got a couple of pictures here to start, actually, because before we talk about the results, we should definitely talk about.
Oh, hang on. We're having technical issues. We need to wait like 3 hours before we talk about LA regionals.
All right, guys. We promise that after this lunch, Mont, you're muted, by the way. We promise after this lunch break that we'll talk about the LA regional.
This very early lunch break where you're eating breakfast.
Yeah, it really was.
Dogs for breakfast.
Anyways, shout outs to Kareem on Twitter for these two pictures that we have here. This one is a really, really good one. They were. So what happened was we all like kind of sat down for round one, and immediately like it wasn't like immediately apparent, I guess, that like the whole venue was struggling. But you know, if you talk to people around you, you were like, oh yeah, like I can't connect to the internet.
Yeah,
And
everyone was just like, oh, I guess our table's just kind of messed up.
yes, right.
No, there's so many tables that you're so far away from people that you don't know if everyone's having issues.
And this has happened before, where there's been like a table.
I was able to. Yeah, we've had like a table not work. I was able to connect to the internet, and Alex was nearby me as well.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and then I was not able to. Go ahead, Audie.
The people next to me, I was on table I think 82, and people on table 81 could connect, and they played their entire set and just like left, and we were just sitting there trying to figure, like, just waiting. So I was one table off from being able to play.
And like,
I think it wasn't based on the tables. I think it was based on how early you tried to connect.
mm-hmm. That seems right, based on some of the theories I saw floating around.
Yeah, having trouble assigning IP addresses to switches. And I think like once you were assigned one, you would like the switch would cache it, because I was able to connect, and then disconnect. Everybody was like, okay, everyone disconnect and reconnect. I was able to connect again, but nobody else was able to. So my switch like must have kept its IP address or whatever. But just because I connected like before anyone was really sitting down, because I actually wanted to tweet out a video using the wired connection.
David just did actually answer the question, and it was what we were talking about, parting shot block. That was the main reason to run clear amulet, and so yeah, I can respect that as a reason for it. There's like a lot of items. Mon, what are all the items you were telling me? There's like 8 of them.
Yeah, all the ones that Calc Shadow can run. You got Life Orb, you got Focus Sash, you have Spell Tag, you have Specs, there's Cloak, there's Clear Amulet, there's the Spooky Plate.
Mm-hmm, true.
Orb.
Yeah, it's just like
if you look at
so many.
The day 2 Calc Shadow in Los Angeles, there were 5 of us, and we all ran different items.
No one mentioned Citrus yet. That's true. Citrus is another good one.
Oh yeah, Citrus.
And did we say Leftovers too? I've seen Leftovers as well.
Leftovers is better than Citrus Berry. I did test that.
Oh, okay. But you didn't run it.
Yeah. I didn't run it, but if you're going to get healing, you want the healing against opposing Shadow Rider and opposing Ice Rider. Don't run Citrus. That's
pretty real.
I believe that.
I can definitely respect that. Anyways, yeah, so let's get back to talking about this mess. So yeah, it was like, then it started, you know, the word was traveling around. I think they eventually made an announcement, but this is when it became most apparent that this event was fucked. They said, if you can't connect, raise your hand. And so many hands went up, and everyone was like yelling, cheering, laughing. And then they said, like, thank you for participating in this like test or something like this. Just like, thank you for
exercise.
Yeah, this exercise. And then they eventually just like told us, like, you know, after several hours of not being able to connect, you know, round 1 pairings went up around like 7:30, like early, and at like 10 something they just said, like, go ahead and go to lunch.
They said come back at 11:30. We'll start round 1 at 11:30. Go. We'll figure it out. Go get some food or whatever. Like, you don't have to stay here, essentially. Which is nice, because I think about half the people were probably sitting down the entire time. God knows why. But for me, at least, I was, you know, up and about and talking to people. And honestly, I get really nervous before. Yeah, I get really nervous before round 1, even though I've played in a million tournaments. Like, I'm still always nervous before round 1. Right. And so that break really helped me. Like, it actually kind of helped me out in that it made it so my nerves were gone, and I got to go and get all my social calls out of the way, and talk to all my friends who I hadn't seen in Los Angeles yet. And so after the initial kind of shock and ridiculousness of the situation wore off, I actually had a good time during the 3-hour break, and then
Yeah, it was a little annoying. I mean, but you know, it was still like you said, like, you know, you just like, yeah, I think the people that, you know, sat around nervously or whatever, like, were not using it properly. They were supposed to, you know, just like go to the bathroom, you know, just talk to friends or whatever. Um, um, was this the first time that round 1 and 2 were streamed from VGC? It's kind of funny that you say that, but like,
Actually, not. So I remember the worst round 1 ever streamed at a regional was actually Alex versus some person that like had an in-game team. Or
I'm
something.
glad that you mentioned this one, Birds. I wouldn't have thought to bring it up right now. I wonder if I have or haven't brought it up on Tub Takes, but
The 2016 Collinsville.
2016 Collinsville. I ended up getting top 8 at the tournament, but they streamed me on the first round. Choppa remembers. Let's go. I played against a Sableye that was level 47. They had a Mega Blaziken with Sky Uppercut. And what's funny is this was also like best of 1, right? So like,
those are restricted.
Yeah, we had double restricted. I don't even know. They had like a Zekrom that also I think wasn't level 50. We didn't have auto leveling back then, which was both like I guess it could screw you over if you didn't fully level your Pokemon, but it allowed for like the level 1 strats. I miss those sometimes. But or level 49 strats to have something slower in Trick Room. But yeah, that shit was too funny. But no, like, just in general, like LA, or not LA. We used to stream round 1 and round 2 all the time in the past before these like new
I
types
think even
of.
at like Worlds they still stream round 1.
Well, they do now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're saying now, yeah.
They know Worlds they still stream round 1.
Yeah, and NAIC I think too, right? Don't they stream every round at the internets?
I don't think so.
I thought they did.
I think they do. They did it at UIC this year.
Oh.
The reason that they do it for the larger events is, and they don't do it for the smaller ones, is because there's this like overtime that kicks in after around like maybe 8 hours, I would guess, because you know 8 hours is usually a work day, and they have like, you know, they stream 7 rounds because there's some lead up time, and so after that it's like double for every hour for like the next 2 hours, and then I heard that it's like triple for every hour after 3 hours overtime. And so they just aren't willing to do that for regionals, but they are willing to pay that for the internets because they're like, you know, much more serious about those tournaments and worlds, of course, too.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I thought I heard. Anyways, yeah, talking about the event again though, after the break they decided that we were only going to play 7 rounds that day. They also came up with a system.
It's like 4 rounds in, by the way.
What's that? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They announced it like 4 rounds into the tournament.
That's true. They didn't tell us right away. You're right. But then we were only going to do 7 rounds. They started streaming from round 1, and then they only streamed to the round 7. The next 2 rounds were announced to be on the beginning of the next day. They were going to start a little bit early. And all things said and done after the fact, like, I think it went pretty smoothly for running, you know, the last 2 rounds of Swiss. Like, you know, I want everybody to know, and it's already been said several times over on Twitter, but nobody is, you know, nobody should be giving the judges and staff a hard time for what happened here. It was an issue that they were not expecting to be dealt, a very tough hand, and they dealt with it the best they could. And so I think after everything's, you know, been considered, like, it was just a really annoying, unfortunate situation that they handled the best that they could, and I think it worked out pretty well considering that, you know, we had to play 2 extra rounds on, you know, Sunday. Everything was still pretty smoothly. Mont was still able to make his flight after moving it, right?
Super fast. Yeah, I did. I originally was flying out at 7, and then once I cut, I was like, oh, that's not going to be enough time, so I shifted it. But yeah, the day 2 Swiss rounds went crazy fast. I think like they were really moving quickly with those, as I think was what people wanted. So yeah, props to them.
Mm-hmm.
They were very aggressive about giving out game losses at the start of the morning of day 2, not the real day 2, but at the start of round 8. I know I got a late, and I was probably 90 seconds away from getting a game loss. And I know a couple people who did get game losses. I know Nails ran across the street and ran a red light and jaywalked to try to get there. And Rajat and I were like, no, we are not risking our lives in these LA streets
And you should have.
to get to this play Pokemon. And to be fair, if we had gone to sudden death, I would have taken the loss. And if I had got hit, like if our Uber had been 60 seconds later, we might have gotten game losses, and neither of us would have cut. So who knows? Yeah. Nail said he did not get a late. He made it by 2 seconds. So yeah, that was also part of it, right? They knew that they were going to be more rounds than usual, and they made a point to expedite the process. I don't know if it's normal that they take everyone who has a chance of cutting the regional and taking them and getting their info because they did that this time, and except for I think they didn't get you, right? That they got like Ja and a couple other people who didn't end up cutting behind the scenes getting their info just to make sure that would take less time than normal. And of course, they streamed one less top 8 set, which also reduces it by about an hour, right? So they did their best. The judges that I talked to said that the problem was not on their end; it was on Pokemon's end. It was a network issue. Except when they were talking to the network provider, they were insisting that it was a Pokemon issue, and I am pretty sure it was an IT issue. And it got fixed by day 2, which also helped expedite things. So thankfully, they got it resolved. They did the best they could. Huge shout out to the judges. They all seemed so stressed out all day, understandably. And they did an excellent job getting us through the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a funny situation. So they didn't get my info early on, and then they had to like grab me later to get some stuff. And then right when I was sitting down to play Justin, actually for top 8, they came and grabbed me. Like we had switched team sheets and we're doing team preview. Yeah, and then they came over and they had us turn our switches off, and then I had to go backstage and like take a picture and stuff.
That is so scuffed.
That was like a little like, and the people felt really bad about it, and like whatever, I'm not blaming them. It happened, but it was a little frustrating because like we were both like getting mentally prepared and about to go play this turn 1, and then they're like, nope, come do picture stuff, and then Justin, you just had to like sit there, and then it was just like awkward gap, and then I came back and we played and it was fine, but it was just like
I don't think like exchanging team sheets really mattered much because like we already had access to each other's team sheets.
Yeah, the team sheets were available with an easy click on Arcanine. I don't know if they've ever had this for other tournaments. There's been tournaments where the team sheets were posted online. I just thinking about like the ease of accessibility. Burns, they were on for which tournament do you know?
So it depends on the tournament.
Right.
It's just whenever they make the team sheets public, they'll also like appear on your pairing.
Okay, yeah. Because that was a little funny. What do you got to say about it? You look like you have something to say.
Finish the thought. I was going to answer the question in chat.
Oh, got it. Okay. I was just going to say that I don't super love it. It's not like a major thing, because like at the end of the day, you're going to be handed your sheet at some point, but and you can get, scouted, and people will know your, team a little bit earlier than you actually play them and hand them your sheet. But it was just such a ease of accessibility. Like, like literally, like you get your pairing and then it's just like, click. Okay, I can actually just like, take my time getting to the table, because like I'm just going to read and game plan my whole match before I even look at team preview. And it's not like a major thing, but like it kind of just ties into like my whole like I hate like premeditated matches or anything that has like more prep time than like probably the most minimum amount, because then games just start to get a lot more stale. Yeah, like that's exactly it from Shane there. Too much prep time is cringe. That's just all it is. I just like prep time to be kept to the most minimum it can be. But what was the question in chat you wanted to answer, Audie?
Yeah. So someone asked what counts as late, not being at the table or having a switch and game ready. So as long as you get to the table, as long as you're sitting there, even if you're setting up, you're usually good. The way it works is if you are under 5 minutes late, they write late on your match slip. And then if it goes to sudden death, so if you have a double DC or something like that, then you will lose the game. So you won't actually get to play sudden death. which again, I had the late in my round 8, and I was terrified that when I was winning the game that we were going to disconnect at any point and I was going to lose. And then if you are more than 5 minutes late, you get a game loss, and I believe it's 10 minutes late, you get a set loss. Is what the rule normally is.
I had a game where my opponent was, doing the like classic tactic that I think I have no, beef or anything with it, but they were just, a lost end game, but they were just clicking protect every turn to, give themselves more time to game plan for game 2. And I was just sweating my ass off because I only had 2 Pokemon, and 2-1 is not considered enough of an advantage to get an automatic game win. And the game's like, people were disconnecting left and right because we were playing offline some of these matches, and so I was just like, please just stop protect stalling. Like I have the win locked up. Just please stop, so that like if the game disconnected, I would not be granted that win. My opponent seems like a nice enough person. I don't know if they would have given it to me or not. If I was in the reverse situation, I'd probably just give my opponent the win. Like, I'd just be like, like, I was only protecting to, like, give myself more time to think. Like, I know that you had it locked up. But I don't know. Nobody actually owes you that. The rules would favor the person to just take the win because, it's not like, a judge is going to come over and be like, let's review the footage, and just be like, oh, yeah, this person definitely won. It makes that, like, judgment call. That's just not a thing. That doesn't exist. So yeah, playing for the DC. They definitely weren't playing for the DC, but it's just like something that was scaring the crap out of me because we didn't mention this yet. Let me ramble for a little bit longer. But when we came back, they announced like, hey, if you can get online, connect to your opponent and play online that way. If you cannot, and you're at an even number table, go ahead and play offline. If you're at an odd number table, wait 10 minutes. And then I might have reversed even and odd, but whatever, it's the same difference. I think they're both like, yeah, you did. But anyways, but yeah, they said wait 10 minutes and then start your match. Basically to avoid interference. People, like I guess that's like part of what causes the disconnections, and so yeah. There was a DC that on stream they ruled a tie, but it definitely wasn't a tie. No, but I think that one thankfully didn't end up swaying the match result. I'm pretty sure it was like an effective 3-0. But yeah, that was a game crash, which I also don't even think is related at all to the internet issues that we were experiencing. I mean, I guess it could be. I don't know. Is the game more likely to crash if you're offline versus on? Who knows? But anyways, I've been talking long enough.
Mm-hmm. But so one cool fix that they figured out by the end, I think Izzy figured this out, that if the 2 players, one player can connect and one player couldn't, and they switched sides, they switched docks, then it was working. I did that twice, and both times we managed to connect. So and then I think other people started trying it out by the very end of day 1. So they did kind of figure out a workaround that's maybe sort of sometimes fixed it. But yeah, it was a weird situation the entire day, and I had a couple games that we disconnected. Normally, I can't believe I have to say this, but normally you disconnect after you set out your Pokemon, right, in team preview. But I had a game where me and my opponent disconnected after turn 1 played out in game 1 and game 2. We both DC'd after turn 1, which is super weird. I've never seen that happen before. And that felt like it was related to the network issues instead of the games being made of spaghetti code. Maybe both. I don't know. But
I did have a set against Joe that was kind of similar, or like my second set against Joe that wasn't streamed. We had we disconnected as turn 1 started. So I saw him Terra his Miraidon, and then the games kicked us out. It was just kind of funny to specifically see that happen, and then it's like, nope, you're gone.
Yep, there must have been a lot of that. I also had a really unfortunate set where, a turn 1, I faked out a Zacian as it went for a Stellar Terra and then switching POW into the other slot. So I was like, yes, I got the turn right because it was like fake out Astral or something. And I was so happy because I was like, I just got the turn perfect. And then right as it was playing out, disconnect. And then I'm just like, oh no, I have to do that whole mental pressure of like turn 1 again. And it's like, do you do the same thing? Do you do the different thing? It was just, I was able to win that game, but yeah, the post turn 1 disconnect really kind of stinks.
Yeah, like, I never had one of those,
whatever. But yeah, post turn 1 is rough.
I
at any
had
point in the game.
one or two. I think I had two disconnect on lead. Both times informed my opponent like, hey, we're not really technically allowed to promise each other same leads because there's no rule that says that you have to promise to do same leads. Funnily enough, one time it was against a person I coached, and then I changed my lead and they didn't, and I won. And I was just like, man, did I just really do that to them? Like, technically it's like allowed, like there's no. And I was like, but what if he changes his lead to counter what I led? And then like I just ended up counter leading his lead, and it was just like, that does just suck. But Scarlet and Violet, what else can you do?
Yep.
I mean, it's been so long since San Diego, but I remember when we were talking about disconnects then. Burns was always like telling people like, yeah, you can, change your leads, feel free, and then Burns would just run it back and they would change it to make it better for him.
That's true. That happened.
Someone said they had a 45-minute 3-turn game where we were instructed not to restart even after the game timed out. I think I'm not sure if it was you or if it was someone else, but I was sitting next to someone and overhearing them being like, well, what do we do? Because they were stuck, like they bull switched or something like that. And then they could not select a Pokemon or their Pokemon wouldn't get sent out. And they were just stuck on that screen as the timer was ticking down.
This was another one of my coaching students. And they had played 3 turns. Yeah, there we go. Jonathan said, yeah, they played 3 turns before the 3-minute timer at the end of the game had kicked in. 3 turns! And then it was like, there are 3 minutes left. And like, I was like, they said that they called judges several times. And were like, can we like void this game or something? Like, this isn't working. And they were like, no, you have to play it to the end. You cannot like just back out of this game. And so they just got stuck in this 17-minute like just frozen game state thing. It sounds horrible. Like, I would be losing my shit. I mean, I'd probably be laughing about it, like, if my opponent was, like, chill and laughing about it, too. Like, but, like, God, that sounds so awful.
I think I remember this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you were, I think, near me when they were telling us the story. Like, oh, my God.
No, I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, there's one match left taking forever. And you were like, oh, that guy, I coached that guy.
Right. There's really no way to void and restart in the rules. They talk to judges. The thing is like, it was a very crazy weekend in terms of judge rulings, and so a lot of it, like, there was a bit of inconsistency. Like, it depended on what judge you got. Like, one small thing that I can say is, like, when you were playing offline, I kept hearing, like, a very 50-50 split between judges saying, go into Union Circle and connect that way, versus some judges saying, just do a link battle. And it was just, like, not super
really
consistent, but there was just so much, like, happening. Like, basically, I think judges were just trying to figure out whatever they could do that worked, just replicate that as much as they could, and they probably saw different experiences because there wasn't really a pattern.
So I was told the reason we do Union Circle is because if there's disconnections or something like that, or your Switch like crashes, it's because you don't get banned from online. Because when you do a Union Circle, it's like, oh, it's fine, you're just playing with your friends. But if you're doing a link battle, technically that could be anyone, because you really just put in a code and search.
Mm-hmm.
So if you disconnect from like just a straight up link battle without doing Union Circle, you can get banned from online.
Right.
But even if you're offline, I guess is the question. Like yeah, if
Yes.
you're connected to Wi-Fi in the airplane mode, but even if you're just offline,
maybe, yeah, I don't think they can ban you if you disconnect offline, because like your game just doesn't save.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
It's.
But you shouldn't have been doing link battles if you had internet connection anyway. If you had internet connection, you should be doing it the proper way with, Union Circle and everything.
That's why they do Union Circle.
Yeah.
So the Union Circle's not necessary for offline, is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. Let's Are there any other things? We'll maybe come back to them later, but are there any other things that we missed when talking about like the actual like running of the tournament? Like, I titled the stream this the worst regional ever because like technically we've never seen a stream or not a stream a regional like get this delayed this bad. Like it was very unfortunate. Like there were talks about it being canceled. Like people were like, what did they even do?
That was just people joking.
Of course.
We did have, I think I think the last worst regional ever was actually also in the LA area, Long Beach 2014, because back then regionals were like 1 day long. So
And it
they
was
had to play it all
huge.
on Sunday. Yeah, and they had. I think it was similar to this, that they had like a 3-hour delay, and they had to play 9 rounds of best of one Swiss, which is like goes pretty quickly. But they also had to play a top 32 bracket on the same day, and that went until like 3 a.m.
Legacy, you don't have to sell it short. It sounds like it was maybe the second worst, or maybe even still worse than this one regional in history. Like, you don't have to limit it to just California. I think it sounds pretty bad. All right, let's talk some results though. The winning team. Anybody want to tell me about the team that Montana Mott ran? Anybody in the call?
Couldn't tell you the first thing about it.
All right, fair enough. Tell
Also,
me the second thing then.
Well, I just wanted to say, Alex, I know that you really are calling this the worst regional because cringe, boring, Urshifu, and Rillaboom won. So
It was not a good weekend. Plus, like, I don't know if you know me, Mont, but like, I hate seeing my friends do well. It's like just like something that people need to know. Like when I see my friends do well, it just kind of like depresses me. And so yeah, that was just very unfortunate. But yeah, please tell me without like a full team report or anything. Tell us about the team.
not a full team report, but basically the main logic here was I think a lot of people were really down on CSR going into this tournament. They weren't prepping for it as much or building in answers to teams as much as prior tournaments. Also, it just so happened that I have been running this since maybe day one of Regulation G. So, like, I had been on this for about a month or different variations of it, just practicing it. At some point, there were some different slots really early on. Like, I had Amoongus on here at first, of course, cringe, boring Amoongus. Then eventually it became a Clefairy. But yeah, right from the get go, I think I had really liked the sort of fairy horse, that fairy kiss horse with spell tag. I just think I felt that was the thing that best took advantage of Clefairy's friend guard. And also it's just a really strong set, and that people are not expecting the recovery from draining kiss. They're not expecting the amount of damage that you can do once you get one plot off at +2, especially with the spell tag. That's like, for me, a lot of people are like, oh, why spell tag? Why not a lot of other items? And I think that it's about a lot of those +2 astral damage calcs. There are quite a few things in the meta where that really just pushes you right over the damage amount to like, hey, now I can take a KO on Amoongus since I have spell tag. I think a lot of the other items have their pros and cons, of course, but that was my logic there. Incineroar and Rillaboom, I had a lot of comfort with, even from last reg. I was running like the boring double fake out Amoongus Urshifu Raging Bolt stuff. And they're always going to be solid, but I do think they're worse this regulation for sure than like Reg F or even prior. So I was often trying to look for ways where I could swap Incineroar for other Pokemon. like I tried like the covert cloak taunt Chi-Yu at one point there, just because I didn't feel that they were as strong, but there were always some matchups where I really wanted both of them. Rillaboom being amazing for Miraidon in a lot of like random stuff, opposing Urshifu things. And Incineroar is very good into like Zamazenta, especially like ESM's Zamazenta variant, where you want to intimidate the Zama and the Rilla and the Pow. So like the roll compression is still just so good. Taunt is great for Calyrex Ice teams, Calyrex Ice Amoongus leads. Like, I don't think they're as broken as they were in Regulation F, but like they're still just very good. Like they're just pivoting, and roll compression is always going to be great. Urshifu, sorry, I'm just like kind of going all over the place with the team, but Urshifu, I don't know if it can afford to run. Like, obviously, we've seen Scarf Ursh do really well, especially on the Calyrex Ice teams this reg. But I just think Sash on this helps me get off so many more moves, like close combats into Terapagos, for example. And it just guarantees that you can go for that, like maybe protect, switch your fake out Mon, fake out close combat, like just things you can't do with Scarf. Also with this team, you want to be Terraferrying Calyrex Shadow a lot. And I know that Urshifu, Scarf Ursh can be a Terra Hog. Like if you have a defensive Terra on it, you might be forced to click that a lot, like if there's a Raging Bolt. So there's just a lot of reasons why I think Sash is really good, and I don't know, maybe some other team used Sash Ursh pretty well with this this weekend. We might hear about in a second. But yeah, and then Tornadus I think was probably I don't know, my least brought Pokemon of the regional run, but it's always going to be good, supporting the Ursh with Rain Dance and getting that Tailwind up, especially in Tailwind mirrors when you kind of need to match Tailwind. And there's some like wide guard matchups where I really needed Torn to be able to taunt the wide guard user.
And
I don't know if
Ditto,
anything,
right?
yeah. Oh yeah, and Ditto. If there's depending on the Ditto team, but a lot of them, if it's like Scarf Ditto and you want to like just be able to outspeed it with your own and Astral Barrage, you want the Tailwind.
Yes.
But also Sash Ursh is good into Ditto too. Just being able to take a hit and surging back.
Yeah, he was bringing Urshifu against me and not Tornadus, but I think they were kind of meant to accomplish the same kind of effect.
Yep. Yeah, mainly just because I just did not want to bring Torn into Ice Rider. So
right.
yeah, so it was Sash, but against like the like Miraidon Ditto stuff, like Torn is great there. And versus Koraidon. Tornadus is huge. I think that makes this matchup really good for this team. With Rain Dance, Torn, and Ghost Horse. Like I fought a lot of Koraidon in practice, like on ladder and stuff, and I was very positive into them. I think often because of Tornadus. Although the one Koraidon I fought in the actual regional, I did not bring Torn because they had a lot of things that really scared it away. But
Gotcha.
a lot of the Koraidon teams of practice Torn was good for. So yeah, it's like all these pieces coming together to support the Calyrex Shadow, and I wanted to capitalize on people thinking Calyrex Shadow was down, and I had a lot of practice with the team. I had been using it for like a month, so I think it was like a perfect storm of like, here's where it all comes together, and I also played well in the sets where it really mattered, where I really needed to play well, and it worked out. So yes.
They made you wait until top 4 to get featured on stream. That was crazy.
Yeah, I was so nervous going into playing on stream just because I'd never been on before. And thank you, Audie, for being so nice during that and sort of explaining to me a lot of the ropes of how things go. And then once the game started, I think then I was able to just like lock in, and I wasn't thinking about the cameras or anything. And I think the adrenaline actually helped me. It helped me find plays that like I don't know if I would have found if I weren't on stream. Like watching it back, I was still surprised by some of the things that I was able to find. Yes, some of those plays. So definitely, I think it actually kind of ended up benefiting me, which is cool.
Man, I think you also like you were so locked in that like I think you just forgot to celebrate or pop off at all. Like I'm pretty sure that you just like like you just kind of like stood up and you were like,
yeah. It just like also didn't hit, like I don't think my brain during that day had ever caught up to the stakes of like the game that I was playing.
Right.
And that I was not thinking like, oh, if I win the regional or whatever, like I was just thinking like about that set that's right in front of me in that game. And like my brain just did not comprehend like, oh yeah, this is the finals match, which I think helped me.
Yeah, definitely.
If I would have been thinking like, holy crap, this is finals, I need to do so well, or this is top 4, like everything is on the line, like I maybe would have psyched myself out. But I think my brain just like not understanding that benefited me. So
Mon didn't realize that he won
This guy
until like go ahead, Burns, go ahead.
Cuts his first regional, is already acting, he's like, yeah, I've been there.
I've been there.
It's just another day in the office. We don't need to celebrate. This was expected.
I just have to like it's just 3 more matches. That's all that's left in the tournament.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Mont didn't realize he won until like after dinner. He was like, "Huh, I guess I don't have any more rounds. This isn't a dinner break. I'm just done."
I feel like watching it back, I'm like, "Oh, that's it."
That's it. That's the regional. It was too easy.
Bring out another guy. Bring out more guys. Let me fight more guys.
Yeah, or I just meant like, yeah, that really happened.
So that just happened.
And a lot of things did line up too. Like obviously there's a lot of, you think about those turns where if something went one way differently, the run would be over. So it's all about just playing the best you can to put that variance in your favor over the course of the run. Like for example, Kian got knocked out of the tournament. I had previously lost to them in day 2. I did not really want to play them again. So like something like that, I was just like, unfortunately, I know like they are a very strong player, and I feel bad to say like, oh, I didn't want them to make it to finals, but they had just played amazingly versus me in day 2, and I was like, I don't know if I'd be able to figure out the matchup in time. So there's a lot of things like matchups that you play, and I do think Calrec Shadow was definitely the call. Looking at the top cut teams, I felt pretty okay about all the matchups in cut, where like I definitely think all of them are winnable. No Terrapagos. Which is very, very important.
Yeah, I guess there's always the votes. I forgot about that for when it comes to
I don't think they voted it though
What's that,
for
Adi?
this one. I don't think they did any voting for this one. At least they did. I don't think they did for top 8.
Maybe because of time and just wanting to just like be as fast as possible, and
Because they were very quick about picking out stream matches. It seemed like both times I was on stream, or both times people around me were on stream, they would just go up to a table and put it down. Whereas normally they tell like 4 matches to hold and wait for the community choice. And I guess they just did not want that delay anymore.
I think they just wanted to do the Zacian Umbreon match on stream.
I mean, that's fair. That
For
is
the
fair.
second
it was a
time.
cool team.
Or sorry, so I was sitting at Top Cut next to these guys, and Rajan was so adamant that we were going to be the ones on stream in top 8 because they were definitely not going to put Colin on stream against another Zacian like they did in day 1. But they did. So.
And the thing is, Umbreon is just such casual bait, right? Like, if someone's like, "Yo, Umbreon's on stream," everyone's gonna watch. So they had to put Umbreon on stream as much as possible.
Yeah, they couldn't have people stealing Wolf's team on stream. That wouldn't be okay.
Let's sorry that we're running a little bit long here, but we do have a lot of other teams that we want to talk about. So
yeah.
Let's
sure.
talk about some of the other stuff here. We'll definitely be talking about more of your run as well.
It's just the same thing, right?
Yeah, well, I was gonna skip Ryan's team almost. Like, I did want to mention like a couple of things when we talk about Ryan. One, another, second place for Ryan. A little unfortunate there, but Ryan here running it back with the team that Burns had run at Indianapolis. A couple of small changes here or there, and the what was it? Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention was just really quick. Got to plug that I won Smart Money. I picked Ryan to win the whole tournament, and I'm not sad to see another friend deny me that. Mont, I'm very happy to see you win, but it was like, dang, I was actually that close. That's crazy. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, other than that, I don't think there's much to say about Ryan's team besides it being like the best example of a Calyrex Ice balance team. Burns, I don't know what to call yours. I'm sorry. It's something else. There's something. There's a guy on there. There's a lumpy, jiggly guy on there.
There's a lot of guys on there.
There are a lot of guys.
Important to note. Ryan lost round 1, and then he won 15 in a row to make finals. So that's like a pretty sick run, but he just fell just short to Mr. Mod here.
Yeah. His team, one interesting thing about the team though too, I think, is the helping hand on the Pelipper. I know like that's more of a recent meta development, I feel like. I don't know if that was always there, but that just pushes a lot of like having no protect on it, and also just pushing a lot of those surging strikes, calcs, to like scary amounts. I don't know. I think it's a interesting move choice. I know we saw like at a couple past events, like I think maybe Alex Gomez had a team with helping in Pelip, or it's definitely been around, but it's I don't know if Justin, if it was on yours, but I just think that move stood out. Like I don't like seeing it on the team preview.
So I guess before we get to talking about Adi's team, some people are asking questions about Adi's team in the chat. But let's talk about Kian's team really quick. Kian did have the Umbreon with Zacian. Just insane that there were so many Zacians this deep into the tournament. Like, this is a Pokemon that everyone wanted to like call out as being just like dog, and in a bad way. Not like he's got that dog in him. Like he's like like dog shit. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Zacian. And I hate to say that about you. I don't actually hate to say that to be about you. I hated Zacian in Gen 8. Anyways, um, yeah, this team is a bit of a strange one. Like it's a guy like balance pieces. It has an Umbreon, but like, and then it has a Zacian. You know, they're this is a little bit, you know, like there are elements of this that you saw in like Mont's team, Tornursh and Rillaboom. You know, and on Audie's team too. Wait, Audie, do you have a Torn? I can't even remember. No, you didn't have Torn. You were a Raging Bolt, right? Yeah, gotcha. But they have the Umbreon here, which I think is just awesome. Umbreon was a Pokemon that me and Yessa might have hyped up a little too much when we were making our pre-Reg G, like, tier list, talking about, like, yeah, like, Umbreon's gonna be, like, an A-tier Pokemon, and then it was just like, well, Shadow Rider isn't as strong as everybody thought it was originally, and, it's, now it's coming back. Maybe it's time for Umbreon to, really make its, mark on the metagame. It's exciting to see this Pokemon, because it just has such a unique and cool toolkit.
It put in a lot of work versus me.
It was. I think that Ken beat both me and Mont. It was obviously a Pokemon that is quite good into Shadow Rider. Yawn pressure was not something that I was used to dealing with, and so it was something that forced me to not just stick Clefairy on the field, right? Like not play it a little differently. And I know our set was super close. It was really fun. And when teams that like ours rely on double fairy types essentially, with Calyrex basically being forced to Terra Fairy in front of Umbreon, then Zacian becomes a lot better. And so that was pretty cool. And then on top of that, Snarl is something that has really dropped off in usage. We don't see many Raging Bolt running Snarl nowadays. There aren't really any other guys that really want to run it other than Scarf Chia, which is a very different Pokemon. And so Umbreon sort of controls the game in a way that is very, very different than what we've been seeing other teams try to do. And I think specifically combined with Zacian, it did a really good job, and it was really cool to see it make it all the way to top cut, and almost win the regional. It had a bit of an unfortunate run, had a bit of an unfortunate game against Ryan to lose in that top 4.
Yeah, the fact that it was like double stab play rough was another thing. Like I think we'll talk about Grant's team as well, but like these Zacian sets were doing things that I think at least set them apart in a way that I thought was interesting and cool, because if you were just trying to do like what Zacian did through all of Gen 8, like I think that's like what was failing to work in the current metagame and what was very hostile to it. And so like it's cool that like when people break out of the shell, this mold that people have like painted for a Pokemon, and they're like, this is what the Pokemon does, and if it doesn't work, the Pokemon doesn't work. And then some people challenged that and said, well, what if it's because we're using Zacian wrong? Like this was so funny, dropping Sacred Sword, Swords Dance, Double Stab, like with Terra Fairy, to just get these crazy strong fairy moves. I mean, like, Fairy isn't it, like, I don't know if we've ever seen any fairy Pokemon do well, guys. So it's like crazy to think that you could just set up and do a lot of damage with fairy type offense. Wow, and it's a bold strategy.
It's almost as if they really need to nerf that type.
Maybe not Play Rough though. Play Rough's pretty chill.
They nerfed it. They nerfed it by making a Pokemon that could outspeed all the fairy types and hit it with Behemoth Blade, right?
That's true. That's true. The fairies would beat all the fairies.
It is like one of the only things that really punishes, I feel like, fairy types in this regulation. Like I just think there's not much that punishes fairy defensively. Like there are a few exceptions, but Zacian is definitely one of the scariest ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of the Pokemon that we've seen punishing those over the formats. Mainly in like Regulation F, the ones that I would think of were like Golden Go, Glimora, and Landorus. Those were Pokemon that were much more punishing of Terra Fairy. And so yeah, it makes it a lot more safe here. But when you have something to actually punish those fairy types like a Zacian, that's gonna be a lot more tricky. Now it's time to let Adi do his yap off. Adi, tell me about your team. Actually, you know what? I've seen enough of this. You get to talk about Raging Bolt, and that's it.
Well, so I'll do a full team report, and actually, Alex, do you want to play the clip? Do you want to play the clip the last time y'all talked shit on Tough Takes about my Calyrex Shadow team?
Adi, I saw the clip floating around on Twitter, and I never gave you a click. I just
Bro,
haven't. I
it
can
was
give you my
never-
live reaction to
I
it.
listened to it. It didn't sound that bad. I think we were just making fun of you, man.
Yeah. But the
I
thing
was-
is, the
I was
take was
making fun
right.
of-
I was right. You were making fun of me. I was right.
I was
Um,
making fun of the fact that people called Whimsicott Nihiligo CSR balance.
Okay, sure. But my point, I guess, and I kind of want to talk about this in the context of Umbreon, is that Umbreon is another Pokemon that did really well in Dynamax formats in 2022, and at least my team, I took a lot of inspiration from. You see the clip. I took a lot of inspiration from the teams that did well in Series 10, and I saw that. I thought that CSR balance would be something that people were under respecting. Literally after that clip on Top Takes, I wasn't kidding. Someone on YouTube commented saying like, well, now you gotta smoke the field with CSR. And so I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, like I got 2 weeks. I gotta try it, right? Like worst case, I default back to Terapagos, which is what I had been running. I got my Worlds invite with that at some mid seasons. I felt pretty comfortable. I felt like that team was pretty easy to use at the time, at least. And so let me give Calyrex a shot. And then I saw the results from Stockholm, and I thought, yeah, this is actually like the results from Stockholm kind of reinforced my beliefs that this was the play. And kept me committed to it, which is really good. Obviously, Mont and I came to a lot of the same conclusions, so I won't go into too much detail. And again, I will do a full team report later. But the main difference is I think the biggest difference is the Calyrex Shadow. Like I know you want to talk about Tauren versus Raging Bolt, but I think Raging Bolt was also my least brought Mon. And functionally, they are speed control that do it in different ways. But the Calyrex Shadow, obviously, we had different items: Cover Cloak versus Spell Tag, and then we had different boosting moves in Calm Mind versus Nasty Plot. And I have tried both of them, and I have a log in the server that I was building with Joe and Kieran. Shouts to them, and Sohaib. That I basically said like I'm convinced Calm Mind is worse in general, better into the bad matchups. It raises the floor and lowers the ceilings. Maybe that's a bad idea, but I don't think that Terapagos is allowed to be a bad matchup. That's basically like my rationale. I looked at Calm Mind and I said, and I was looking at the things that Joe said he was weak to with his team that he had run, the sort of Calyrex Shadow balance team that he brought to Indy and went 6-3 at. I think he bubbled Puerto Rico with the same team. So I took a lot of inspiration from that, and I talked to him about how he used that. And basically, he was like, some of the things that were hard, Kyogre was hard, and the Miraidon was something that people didn't really expect to see as much. He had a Rillaboom, so it wasn't as bad, but Calm Mind really, really stomped Miraidon, and Miraidon, of course, was the number one usage Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a Calm Mind off before it moves is really, really good. So that was a big part of the appeal of this Pokemon. And then Terapagos, again, was the Pokemon that had done the best, I think, overall, other than maybe Ice Rider. I think going into the regional, I considered it the second best restricted. I thought that the meta would be maybe a little antagonistic against it with Zamazenta doing really well recently, but I did think that I was not allowed to have a bad Terapagos matchup, and I think that I was pretty okay with saying that because I played 2 of them and I beat both of them, which was pretty cool. And I think Mont, I looked at your schedule because I wanted to feel like I made the right decision, and I saw that you lost to the one Terapagos you played.
Yep, it was nails.
Yeah, and so it was like, yeah, okay.
Adi, can I interject with a quick story about that game? Sorry, just to cut you off. I'll be quick. Nails said to me afterwards that he was like, "Yeah, I played Mont and I Suica'd him." As you know, Suica'd means that you always target the Pokemon that can't protect. Mont has a couple of them. I think it's Torn, Ensign, Rilla. Yeah, and I told Mont at dinner later, I was like, yeah, Nails told me he Suica'd you. And Mont did not realize. And then his mind was like blown. This was after day 1. He was just like, no.
It's like I should have called that he would just always double that slot. But yeah, my Terapagos matchup definitely worse than yours, Adi.
So go ahead, continue, Adi. I'm sorry that I interrupted you.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually played Suica in round 8, and I remember that game 1, I like protected my Calyrex in front of a Shadow Ball and double targeted the other slot, which couldn't protect. And I was like, oh yeah, Justin told me this is how he plays. I don't know why I didn't make an aggressive play there. I could have just Astro Barrage and won the game on turn 1, but I played passively and I lost. And then game 2 and 3, I was like, okay, well, I have a Raging Bolt on the field, so he's going to double target the Raging Bolt. And just played like that for the entire set, and I won. So that really helped. But yeah, like I said, I think that my team was probably worse than Mott's team. Especially in the mirror, it was not as strong. Into Koraidon, I think it was a lot weaker. But into into Galapagos and into me Rhydon, I had a really, really good time. And when I hit those matchups, I didn't feel great about hitting Galapagos, but especially Miraidon, I was so excited to see it. Then number one usage. So I felt pretty okay with that take. Covert Cloak is because I think that one of the strongest ways to deal with Calyrex next to Clefairy is with spread moves that lower your stats, right? So Icy Wind is really good against it, Snarl is really good against it, and Electrowebs is really good against it. And I saw a lot of Raging Bolt that were running AV and running one of those two moves, either Snarl or Electrowebs, and I wanted to make sure that I could play around that, try to abuse my Clefairy as much as possible. With respect to some of the other differences, I guess I don't think that the last move on Clefairy matters that much. Sing versus Heal Pulse, I think Heal Pulse might actually be better. I did not hit as many Sings, so maybe that's why. This time, as compared to like San Antonio, where I hit like all my Sings, I ran Choice Band Rillaboom over the Assault Vest Rillaboom, and I ran Raging Bolt over Tornadus. And I think that speaks to a fundamental difference in philosophy when teams can go faster than you. Because I said that if teams can go faster than me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage priority against them. And so I have the defensive tools. I have Clefairy. I have Instant. I have Rillaboom. I have all the best defensive tools. I have AV Raging Bolt. Like I can heal back HP with my Calyrex Shadow and boost my Speed Def. It is so hard for these teams to overpower me in the 3 turns that they have speed control. And as a result, what I can do is I can use my priority moves during those turns to put them in range of my Astral Barrage, use Raging Bolts to really threaten the Tornadus that is trying to set up Tailwind into me, and then win on turn 4, turn 5 after I've set up these positions. I thought that priority moves like Thunderclap and Choice Band Grassy Glide were really, really strong and putting things into range of Astral Barrage. Even if I was only at +1, I needed a lot more help to get things in those ranges. And so creating those pins with Thunderclap and Grassy Glide was really strong. Big shout outs to Roshan, by the way. I was running Miracle Seed Rillaboom until the day before the regional, and he told me I needed a little more burst damage. And then I think that the only reason I had a chance against Colin and Roshan and their Koraidon teams was because I had the Choice Band Rillaboom that like 2-shot the Chiyu and stuff like that. And so, yeah, the priority was hugely, hugely important for me. And Electrowebs, I thought, in fact, when I built the team, Raging Bolt was mod number 3 after Calyrex Shadow and Clefairy, because I found that, and I was actually running Volt Switch over T-Bolt for a long time. I switched to T-Bolt at the last minute as well, because the dynamic that I thought was really strong was I could Electrowebs and then I could Volt Switch into my Calyrex Shadow, get a slower Volt Switch off. But my opponent I've already inflicted the speed control and I've broken their sashes and I've done a decent amount of chip damage to them. And now I can put my my Calyrex Shadow next to my Clefairy with speed control up, with chip damage out, and take those boosts without having to set up. So that was like one of the fundamental basis of the team originally. And then, of course, I ended up dropping Volt Switch because that just doesn't actually come up often enough. Although, I don't know. I'm actually still not sure if Volt Switch or T-Bolt is better on the set.
Adi, have you talked about Sing yet? That's what the people actually want to hear about.
Okay. So I could talk about Sing. Sing is a move that you click when you have turns. And the idea is that Calyrex Shadow is supposed to take hits. You really want them to target Calyrex Shadow if it can live an attack. And Fredguard lets it live the attacks, and Combine lets it live the attacks. They target the Calyrex Shadow. That's great, because then you get your Draining Kiss and you get full value out of it. You get to heal all the way back up. But if you want them to target Calyrex Shadow and you want to use Draining Kiss to heal, well, you don't want to click Heal Pulse because you're going to use Draining Kiss to heal. You don't want to click Follow Me because you want them to attack the other guy, right? You don't want to click Helping Hand because I'm probably clicking a boosting move on that turn, right? So what am I going to click? Is it going to be Moonblast? I know Mont used Moonblast until the last minute as well. And if my opponent is clicking Moonblast with their Clefairy, I feel like that's great. Like that's not doing anything to me. That's negligible. That's just breaking sashes. I thought David Niss's Icy Wind idea was really cool. I'll be honest, I did not consider it. But for me, Sing is the move that I can click when my opponent isn't exerting enough pressure, but I am not boosting as quickly, right? So I'm clicking Calm Mind, and I'm not going to take a KO +1, but my opponent doesn't actually KO my Calyrex, so I can click Sing, and sometimes I hit. Against the slower setup teams like Terapagos, against the Calm Mind Terapagos that I played, I just got to click Sing, right? They set up slowly, I set up slowly, they don't out-damage me. Against the Lugia team, the Calm Mind Lugia that I played, I had turns to click Sing into them, and then I just get to ramp faster than them, essentially. Now, Sing overall, you can't rely on it hitting every time you click it, but you can. The math that I had was that if I can click it twice, I should expect to hit once, which is how the math works out, right? And so some matchups like Calyrex Ice Trick Room, I said, you know what? If you give me the chance to click Sing twice, I will take hitting one of them, and I think I should be able to win from there. And other times you just click it because you get the opportunity to. But I hit under half my Sings. I hit 7 straight between round 1 and round 4. and then I went like 25% for the rest of the tournament. And obviously, I did not have as great a win rate after round 7 or whatever it was, or after round 9. But Sing, I think, is not a requirement by any means. You can use other stuff, and I really like the icy wind idea. I think I would probably start with that on this team because it doesn't have a tornadoes. It does need help with speed control a little bit more. And you saw the set with Mont where I got outpaced because even though I could inflict a little bit of chip and get this speed control off with electrowebs, the tailwind is still going to mess me up. And so, yeah, I think that icy wind was a pretty cool tech that maybe I should have considered. I didn't even think about it. But yeah, I think that's most of the differences. The other differences, Stellar Terra on Urshifu we talked about, Taunt versus Aquajet. That was mostly for Ice Rider, but I lost to both Ice Rider I played, and I didn't ever get to taunt them, so I don't even know if that's the right play. And then Wisp versus Taunt on Instant, of course, is because I had Taunt on the Urshifu, I didn't need it on the Instant. So yeah, a lot of the same ideas. I think we came to a lot of the same conclusions, and in sort of different roundabout ways. But yeah, it's cool to see that. It was cool for me to build this team kind of on my own and really just be confident in my meta call and see it slowly, like the meta actually adapt even more in my favor over the course of the 2 weeks where I built it out. And yeah, I don't even think that I played perfectly this tournament or even that well this tournament. I think I got a lot of good matchups, and I think that I think that this team is really hard to play against. I think Mont kind of touched on it. People don't realize their draining kiss, how much healing you get, how like what ranges look like against this team. And so it is very and what friend guard calcs are and what combine calcs are and all these crazy like stupid interactions, these random bulk numbers. You're not expecting Calyrex Shadow to be as bulky as mine was. And so there's all these like different weird interactions that you might not be used to. And so I think a lot of my opponents didn't play perfectly and got punished as a result, even though I wasn't playing perfectly, just because one, Pokemon is hard and it's hard to play very precisely. And then two, just because the team makes it so that you're put in a very uncomfortable position, and a lot of people maybe didn't practice against Calyrex Shadow nearly enough. So yeah, so look forward to the full team report at some point. That'll be on my YouTube channel.
Wait, that wasn't the full team report?
No, I have a lot of calcs that I want to share. I have a lot of like deep thoughts about how to play the team that I didn't touch on. This is gonna be a long team report. I got a lot to say.
Can I say one quick thing?
No. Well, you have to ask Adi for permission.
Adi, can I say one quick thing? No.
Yeah,
about
you're good.
The Clefairy set. And I didn't mention this when talking about my team, but it might not be obvious. But a big reason I have Heal Pulse is actually for the Calyrex Ice Trick Room matchup. There's like a lot of board positions where, like, because I have taunt users, I don't want them to get like a Mungus Calyrex Ice out on the field at the same time, but whatever. But I get to click Heal Pulse into my own Calyrex Shadow a lot under Trick Room, like after it eats a Glacial Lance. Like on the next turn. So like Heal Pulse kind of really helps swing that matchup. So I think with that slot, like there's also After You Clefairy is out there.
Yeah.
I just think Clefairy has like interesting ways. And like you said, if you can get 2 Sings off versus the Trick Room, that can also help. Like I think you maybe want something to try and help that Trick Room matchup there potentially, which they both accomplished, which is cool.
Bring back Spotlight. That was a base move for Clefs in the past. I will never stop talking about Spotlight. That move was so cool. Burns, you were actually the highest finishing player in top 8, and this
Sorry,
is...
what?
Wait, no, is he not?
I mean, yes, but that's just a weird thing to say.
Right. Now he's the first one. That's what I mean. We can talk about the other teams, but he is 5th.
He's the second seed, and the first seed made finals. So
yeah,
of course.
So yeah, Burns, you had Ditto. The rest of this is like some guys. We got Calyrex, Incin, Ursh. I don't have many questions about them. But tell me a bit about like Iron Hands, Covert Cloak Amoonguss, and the Ditto.
Yeah, so I think the biggest struggles were like, I think Miraidon, obviously I struggled pretty badly into Rajan's team. I also, like, Kali Ice also had a Terapagos problem. And the third thing, I guess, was, Zamazenta. So those were the big 3, like, I needed to address. Ditto helped a lot into Zamazenta because you copy it and you get their boost, and then you get another boost off of your own Dauntless Shield, and you just kind of out damage their team with their second, with a second restricted, pretty much, and then you can also Terra Ghost to just wall the Zamazenta. So that was pretty good. Ditto was good into Miraidon, just because like Miraidon's like it's kind of a hyper carry team. They really like rely on Miraidon to be doing most of the damage. So and Ditto, when you copy Miraidon, you like quad resist electric. So it's a good switch in. That like the worst thing that can happen is they Draco the Ditto switch in, and they're at -2, and you get a lot more legroom with the rest of your guys. And actually, I had that happen in my second set against Joe, where he was like, "Oh, he's gonna switch in his electric resist. So I'm gonna Draco this slot because it's the one across from Miraidon, and he's probably gonna switch in Ditto." And he did that, and he popped off because he was like, "Oh, I got it right," but I got to go back to Cali Ice, and his Miraidon was at -2, and those teams like they really want Miraidon being the one doing the damage, and if they're not doing the damage, they need to volt switch out, and he couldn't do that because he was locked in a Draco at -2. So I kind of had the room to gain momentum back, and ended up winning that game, despite everyone that saw the pop off live like thinking, "Oh, Joe's won the game." But yeah, that's what Ditto does. It's also pretty like it can copy CSR, but you have to be kind of more careful just because the like the CSR can Terra out of the Astral Barrage and hit you back. So it's
Mhm.
really just more of a punish to like when CSR gets a lot of boosts.
It's also like worth noting. You mentioned the Dauntless Shield thing with Zamazenta. Just a quick like PSA for everyone. Zamazenta only gets one Dauntless Shield, and Zacian only gets one Intrepid Sword. Ditto also only gets one of those. So if you happen to copy Zamazenta and then switch out and copy Zamazenta again, you'll copy that like whatever boosts they currently have, but you won't copy. You won't get another activation of the ability. Um, it's a really cool when you get to copy, a +1 Zamazenta and end up with a +2 Ditto. But if that Zamazenta is just +1 and you switch it and copy it a second time, you are just +1. It's pretty amusing and
Okay.
something that I had to learn while practicing with Ditto.
But if I'm running Zamazenta with Ditto, do both of them get, and I copy a Zamazenta, does my own Zamazenta also get the boost?
Wait, what?
What are you
Is it
talking?
is so? Is it once per Pokemon or is it once
Oh,
per
for Pokemon.
game?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Pokemon. Yeah. Anyways, so Ditto can't copy Tropico, so that slot obviously doesn't address it. I had Iron Hands as my main check to that because it's pretty good into like you hit Tropicos pretty hard, you hit Chiyu pretty hard, you can kind of shrug off some of their hits. A lot of these flutters aren't running like boosting items, so you don't actually take that much from their fairy moves. And they also don't really Terra Fairy because they want to Terra the Terapagos. So Iron Hands was pretty good into that. It also helps into Miraidon, obviously, because you can, tank the damage. You use their electric train to get an attack boost, and Drain Punch 2-hit KOs Miraidon, which is crazy because that thing has like 100 physical bulk.
Mm-hmm.
So those two Pokemon in tandem like helped a lot of my bad matchups from Indy, and the rest of the team was kind of standard. The switch to Dark Urshifu was mainly to be better into like Kali Ice Mirrors. It helps into like Ensign when because it's a bunch of physical attackers, so having something that ignores like Reflect or Intimidate, things like that are pretty good. Um, that's about it. I felt pretty good about all the matchups I played. Even my losses felt about even. Just that I was did not play as well as my opponents did. I did actually mess up and switch Cali Ice into a Zacian when I was trying to switch a Ditto in on the free switch, and that killed like all my momentum with the game, and then I just kind of got beat from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think Adi was right that I didn't have much practice into CSR, so I didn't really have an idea of how they would approach the threat of having Ditto, or like of me having Ditto. Um, so I think that's like a matchup I can get better at with practice, and maybe some small slight adjustments. But I do think I had the tools to like beat the CSR stuff. And I also think, no offense, Audie, I think your choices were helped my matchup into the CSR stuff rather than Mott's, because he had spell tag to get more damage onto the Kali Ice. He had double taunt, just things like that. And I guess Cloacamungus, that was the last thing you mentioned, Alex.
Right.
I felt like I wasn't getting as much value out of Rocky Helmet, since a lot of the threats I was worried about were trending special. And a lot of these physical attackers you see, like the Ensign Rilla, you just, cloak blocks, fake out. The big scenario is when you're leading it into Miraidon and they have Incineroar, and they lead Ensign Miraidon and have Whimsicott in the back. And you have to play a guessing game of, all right, do I double protect to stop the fake out, or do I just straight away attack because they're going to switch to Whimsicott anyways. And that's like a really difficult mind game that you saw me like lose game 2 top 4 at Indy, where Rajan just clicked fake out Draco and I just my guy just died. So I think Cloak helps a lot with that, because you can just Rage Powder on the fake out, and even if they fake out the Kali Ice and like Draco the Amoonguss to kill it, they're at -2. Like we mentioned before, that's a lot of momentum lost. And I think sacking them on to put them at -2, just to let you play the game, can definitely help.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got an Iron Hands and a Ditto in the back to like still have enough offense and utility to win the game. But yeah, that's pretty much all the big interesting parts about the team. I love Kali Ice, and I'm very excited to continue adapting it for the meta going forward.
The Ice Rider Alliance rides.
I love the Iron Hands adjustment. I think that especially is super cool. I think it it just does a lot of things. I'm surprised no one's using it, especially given like how well good it is in Titurapagos, how good it is in Timoraidon. That especially is the part that to me stands out, even though it's a pretty mundane change. It is really, really strong.
And you can Volt Switch into Ditto, which is like really good synergy.
Yeah, Ditto loves pivots because you can kind of control the board. Like sometimes, maybe they're going to be parting shotting out into their restricted Pokemon. Then you Volt Switch out afterwards and you bring in that Ditto and you have a restricted Pokemon, or you get to decide, well, that wasn't, they end up switching out. That's not the Pokemon I wanted to copy anymore. I'm going to just switch in my other Pokemon. And that is like the cool part about pivoting, is it's just less all in and you can, react to the situation. All right, technically it's my turn to yap. I'll try to be quick. I wasn't the actual person that did this, but I kind of did this. Rajan and Colin cut with the same team. It was a team that I built. It had a lot of help from Colin and Raghav. Rajan had nothing to do with this, so we're gonna have his name on screen. That's the best contribution he gets. Rajan did have actually nothing to do with this. He told me like 4 days before the tournament, by the way, I've got a toe in on Gothitelle Koraidon, and I was like, okay, sure. And then last minute found out that the team he wanted to run originally wasn't gonna work, and he was just like, all right, I'm running your team. And I'm like, all right.
Hold up. This is what happened. He had a team built and ready to go Friday night, and then he DM'd me, how do I get the Reigns of Unity in game?
Yeah, I just didn't want to, I didn't know if I should say it or not, but that is what happened.
Well, I don't care. I'm sorry, Roger. How do I get? He hadn't beaten a single gym leader or anything in the game. He had just gotten the Terra Orb, and that was it. And he would have had to like play through half the game to get to the auction house to get the Reigns of Unity. So instead of doing that, he was like, "All right, I'll just use Alex's team."
Yeah,
it's sort of it. It's not entirely true. It was a non-zero factor in him deciding it, but I'll tell you what, he stepped off the plane at 1 a.m. in LA Thursday night or Friday morning, and he said, I have 2 Pokemon right now. And he spent the rest of the day trying to figure out the rest of them, and it was not going anywhere. He definitely made the right choice to not use a 3-mon team that he had. It was funny because I also did not know that I had to get the Reigns of Unity. I was putting together my team on that Friday. I had just transferred the Calyrex over from Sword and Shield, and I was like, oh wait, I have to actually get this item.
Yep. Man, whoever suggested that they could nerf the Calyrexes by making Reigns of Unity a held item, like, man, that would just make these Pokemon so less annoying. Just take away their item slot. Anyways, yeah. So this team started from it took inspiration from what Nails ran at the tournament. I should mention, Nails was the one who came up with the idea of Gothitelle plus Chi-Yu. Where I don't know, Nick's somewhere in here. There he is. Nails had realized that Gothitelle plus Chi-Yu with Terra Ground Blast just kind of gave a lot of the top teams a hard time. It was a very good lead into most Trick Room teams with the Covert Cloak and Taunt. And then you could beat Zamazenta, you could beat Miraidon, you could beat it did alright into Terapagos and other things. And then I was like, I'm just going to take those two and put it on the current Koraidon core that I'm running, which was Raging Bolt, Fluttermane, Koraidon, and then Incineroar instead of Whimsicott. After a bit, me and Colin were both like, I don't think this needs an Incineroar. We already have Chi-Yu as our Fire Dark type, and it's the better Fire Dark type on this team. Let's cut out the Incineroar and put on Whimsicott, and lets us better match Tailwind teams. Whimsicott's also just busted. We both think that, Encore is such a strong move in this format, and it also had Encore plus Shadow Tag, which lets you create some really annoying pins for people. And yeah, I had a pretty unimpressive stream game from me. I definitely just didn't, play it to my best. But it still got to show off some of the cool tools of the team. It's able to. I really liked Koraidon for this tournament in particular. We were saying that Gothitelle was never going to be a long-term staple in the meta. It was always just going to be targeting a specific tournament and then just kind of cashing in and getting out. And that's pretty much it. The rest of this is just I have a Salt Vest Raging Bolt. That's crazy. Who's thought of that before? We have a Choice Scarf Chi-Yu and a Choice Specs Fluttermane. Just kind of playing offense. And it was a lot of fun. I think that the team was pretty cool. I didn't play it the best. I had a pretty mediocre performance, but it also just made me realize that you're not going to experience the same tournament as somebody else running the same team as you in Regulation G, and that's something you have to come to accept is the matchups I fought were very different than the matchups that Colin fought and the matchups that Rajan fought, and I just fought some really annoying stuff, and I didn't fight what I wanted to face, certain restricteds like Terapagos I would have loved to play more. I think I only got one of those. And so, yeah, it's just kind of how it goes. Anyways, the team is pretty cool. I was pretty happy with it, and it was fun to run Goth again. I don't have much more to say about it. I don't know if we're doing a team report or anything. Honestly, if you want to run the team, feel free to just DM me. I'd be happy to share it. Because
if you want to do a team report, we can do a team report. I'd love to do one.
Yeah, maybe we do. I'll talk to the boys. They're both going to be busy, and we're already looking ahead, to start focusing on NAIC. Again, this was not the part of the reason that I don't know if I want to do a team report or not is that I don't know how much I believe in this team going forward. It's not something I'd super recommend because it was supposed to just be a one and done. You bring back Goth in the future, we'll see. I don't think the Mon's unviable or anything. The set was fine, but it was very much about capitalizing on certain teams having very, I don't know, strict game plans, like Miraidon teams. They love to just lead Miraidon, and it's all right, cool. Well, I'm leading Goth Chi-Yu, and I Oko your restricted turn one no matter what you do. Well, the cool part about that was if they had they led Ogerpon with Follow Me, fake out Terra Blast. If they lead the Fiery Giraffe, taunt Terra Blast. If they lead Whimsicott, fake out Terra Blast. There was nothing you could do if you led Miraidon, so they had to start leading not Miraidon, and that does let them play the game, but you already put the game a lot in your hands. That was fun. And then yeah, I have a Koraidon, which Koraidon is just meant to do very well in the Tropicos. I've talked plenty long enough for somebody who didn't top 8, so let's go ahead and move on to the last one. I don't know how much I want to say about John Miller's team. It's kind of just balance plus Ice Rider. We've already seen that Golden Go Ice Rider is a combo that works pretty well. So, congrats on the finish, but not a lot to give notes on in terms of the team.
I'm kind of curious how his set against Mott went. Just because I think y'all played, right? or maybe he played
He-
someone else.
He
I
played
don't-
me. I don't know if he played.
Yeah,
me.
I don't think I played them.
Okay, Audie, how do you?
He was my first loss. It was the game one. So all my Ice Rider lines, I kind of just I'd practiced against the Mungus variants. I'd never seen a Rillaboom on the team. In game one, he just led the Rillaboom and kind of stomped me. Like I think he might have like 4-0'd me on lead, honestly. Just with like a Rillaboom Calyrex Ice because I was not ready for it, or Rillaboom Urshifu pivot into Calyrex Ice, something like that. And then game two I won, and then game three it came down to like Thunderclap mind games because I forced the Terra Water on his Calyrex Ice and then had to call if he was going to switch to Fake Out, Protect, or just attack, and I got it wrong. But yeah, it was a super close set. I thought the Rillaboom is actually very disruptive. It is a way to put things in Glacial Lance range, and it also makes Ice Rider get out of some ranges that, at least from my team, where I don't necessarily have all that much damage into it. The passive healing was very, very annoying for me, but also I could definitely see matchups where the passive healing really doesn't help the Ice Rider player because your opponent is getting out of range of Glacial Lance. So I can't speak to it in other matchups, but I think that the Rillaboom really put in work against my team specifically.
Your
Yo,
turn
and
on
I think
team.
John might be in chat actually.
Well, congrats if you didn't already hear me say it, but top 8, that's pretty awesome. But your team is a little boring, so sorry, I don't have a ton to say about it. I hope that people that I hope like Mont, I hope people that run boring teams know that it's not an insult when I say you're running a boring team, but I just don't have a lot to say about it.
The thing is, I don't want to run boring teams. Boring teams, I do love using fun Pokemon, but I remember I tested so much dog shit next to Calyrex Shadow. I mean, you can ask Chase if you want to see all the stupid shit that I posted. I stopped posting it a tub. It's like, and then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, okay, but what's actually working? Yeah, it's just the good mons, right? It's sad, but that's just how it is a lot of the time.
I mean, Alex knows this, but there are some boring Pokemon that I hate using, and there are some boring Pokemon that I love using. And it really, if I'm having fun with the borings, then I'm gonna bring the borings. And it just so happened that, Amoonguss Cali Ice is fun and boring, and Iron Hands is fun and boring, but he's not as used anymore. So I don't know.
He's back to fun tier. All right. I don't want to hold us
because
go ahead.
All the fun, the three coolest teams, maybe the 4 coolest teams, just barely they all bubbled out of top cut. We could have had a way cooler top cut, but instead you got to see Mont and me make it.
Yeah, that is true. Anyways,
Nick, I blame Nails because he killed Jay's resistance.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know this. There's a Grimmsnarl with Rocky Helmet and Terra Ground. What the heck? That's based. But yeah,
I actually played him.
We've been kind of going for pretty long here, so let's just pick a couple teams, maybe like one team each, that we want to mention. I'll grab ESM. I'll be the one to grab ESM because he was just short of the cut, and yeah, I've already said it several times on the stream so that the world knows, but ESM was the one that built the Stockholm winning team, as well as he built it when it got top 8 at Indianapolis. Decided to try to see where he could take the archetype going forward instead of just running it back, and got to get so close and have a really cool stream match with Chandelure of all things. Like, if you thought this guy was out of tricks, like if you thought I'd seen it all from him, you're just so wrong. He's just got such a different way of looking at the game than everybody else. That's what he told me on the travel, when we were traveling home. He was just like, I feel like I just think about the game differently than everybody else. And I was like, you don't think. That's crazy. What the heck, man? You're the one putting Chandelure on your team and say, yeah, this actually solves all my problems. I don't know, man. He also had Thunderwave Flutter, which is funny. And yeah, he's definitely cooking more, but this guy hears himself get glazed enough on the mainstream that I don't want to talk much more about him. He also changed Zamazenta to Dragon. Woo, crazy.
The rooming with Alex and ESM is just all you hear is just them talking about their regional wins from this season.
Basically, that's just 90% of our conversations. Yeah, it's just hey, remember when you won a regional? And he's like, yeah, but you won one too. That's
in
just
Seattle
us.
too. Yeah, they do that. Like when
And
Mott, you get to join us
be part
now.
of
Bring it up.
Mhm.
Mott, you get to be
Man,
part
I
of
gotta move to
this.
Seattle. I guess that's what it is.
I have not yet mentioned that on the stream yet, but 3 regional wins for Seattle. Is that not nuts? Come on.
Hey, that's
Okay,
almost
but
as
y'all-
many as DC.
Come on.
Okay, but who holds the title of Seattle regional champion?
He's taking it with him, bro. He came in, left with it, and we're never getting it back.
We're getting it back.
Burns
The
does.
brick- the
Burns is
brick
the reigning
is
Seattle
smaller.
regional champion.
7 years strong.
All right, Justin, do you have a team you want to talk about, or a Pokemon you want to talk about, or something cool from day 2?
I don't like Dondozo, but I thought Legacy's team was funny. It has the like CSR and DD, Tatu Dondozo, and just because it's just as a little treat, there's a Hisui and Gudra.
Well, yeah, no, that's the last of the 2/2/2s. It's called passive healing 2/2/2. Like, that's what that 2 is it has leftovers and grassy train and life dew. So that's like the third 2.
Oh yeah, Nerd of Now also pointed out there's a Suicune in day 2, and that was used by someone that's like pretty prominent in the DOU scene on Smogon.
Calm Mind and Mist.
I
This thing just
played
didn't even
them.
have Tailwind. What the heck?
I didn't know what Mist did.
No, so
I was like, does this block like some sort of status move or something? Like I didn't know, but they had tried to go for a lot of like snarl game plans versus my Calyrex Shadow, but Nasty Plot was just like too fast for the snarl stuff. But it was a very cool team.
Mott is like one of the funniest regional champions to me because he didn't know what Mist did, and he played Iron Treads I think twice, and still doesn't know like its speed stat or anything about it. Like,
No. It dies to like Astral Barrage at +2.
Mott,
so.
that's most Pokemon. This is why you play Calyrex Shadow, guys. It makes the game very simple.
I guess I don't know. Was I picking a team now or?
If you have one, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just got to give it to the 2 Iron Treads I fought. If you go to the Cut Explorer, maybe you can bring them up. But it was definitely an interesting choice on the Miraidon teams. I still don't know the speed stat of Iron Treads. I do know that I think like my horse next to Friend Guard, I'm like, oh, I think I take a steel move from this. But yeah, I think both players did bring Iron Treads versus me. One of them had Steel Roller, yeah, which is like interesting. I think they Steel Rollered my grassy terrain at one point. So
That's fun. That's fun.
just 2 interesting teams. Ultimately, I was able to win out. I think I did a lot of like fake out stuff versus the one that didn't have Paragraph. But yeah, I just got to give it to both of those. Both of them played really well. I met them for the first time, those 2 players. So
Mhm.
it's just funny that I played both of the Iron Treads in my run.
What MFs will do for a ground type? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know what type it. I was like, I think it's ground steel, but I'm like, I don't really know. So it's a fun time.
My Pokemon that I want to point out is actually on that team too. Is Annihilate. Annihilate was low key everywhere in day 2. There were 5 of them. I don't think I played any of them, so I was really surprised to look at the standings and see that there were a lot of them. Yeah, I think I actually tested this before. I tested Scarf Annihilate with CSR as one of the stupid ideas. But you know what? It looks like stupid ideas did not stop some of these players, because this first team with the Comfey, Sableye, Annihilate is so far out there. It is absolutely nuts. And then honestly, just like you said, Iron Treads, like you have to have it seems like a matchup mon. It seems like something that you bring to presumably try to beat like specifically Ice Rider. I guess I don't exactly know. But it is really cool to see this Pokemon back in the limelight, because it does have a really cool toolkit. It has very unique typing. And it with Incineroar at pretty high usage, it obviously gets some and Electrowebs and Snarl and all that stuff. It gets a lot of use out of Defiant potentially. So I think it's really cool to see Annihilate come back.
I was about to ask, challenge you guys to a bit of Pokedoku. Is this the first Pokemon ghost fighting? And I actually forgot there is one. I'm gonna see. I feel like the person that's gonna struggle the most is Mont. Mont, do you know the answer to the other ghost fighting type in history? Burns, I bet, knows the answer.
Sorry, what was the question?
Is there another what's another ghost fighting type?
Is there another ghost fighting type?
Ooh, maybe Burns doesn't know. Don't look at chat because they
I did not know it, and I saw
Yes,
it in
yes,
chat,
yes, yes,
but
yes.
I was not going to get it.
Wait, can I say it?
Yeah, you already said it.
You already said it.
Marshadow. It's Marshadow.
Mont would not have gotten it. I'm guessing.
Not in a million years.
Yeah. But yeah, also, Adi, you gotta call this team what it is. It's Lost Box. I don't even play TCG, but that's what everyone says, because Sableye Comfy is like Lost Box in the TCG or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, it's funny. We tried this team on stream yesterday, so if you're interested, and you can go back to watch the VOD for that one, it was impressing us. There are some stuff that this team does that you're just like, wait, this is broken.
It's really funny because like all the restricteds you see it paired with, like Lugia at Indy or Miraidon at this tournament, those are also like TCG relevant like archetypes, but they're not used on Lost Box.
Oh,
So if
true.
you
They're
wanted-
actually they're super annoying in Unite as well, as Indy points out.
If you want to use the canon like TCG team, you should run Sableye Comfy with Giratina Origin.
Wait, Indy, Miraidon 2, right? Though I guess like you guys don't really play with the Legends anymore. I don't know. I haven't played Unite honestly since they released Mewtwo. But God, I don't want to think about the like Legend Pokemon that are just like not built to be balanced. Like that's just so stupid.
I think Sableye just might be the most annoying Pokemon across across all games of all time.
Let's go Sableye. Hold that one down.
No, it's Thundurus is the most annoying Pokemon across all games of all time.
No, like it wasn't in TCG, was it? Or like Unite?
Oh, you meant TCG. Okay.
Like he's saying like not across all formats. He means
I
like
was like, no, Thundurus was just so annoying in VGC. That
Oh,
it's-
dude,
Dude,
Sableye?
yeah, Thundurus has been annoying in every format that it's in ever.
Was Sableye in
But,
Pokken?
okay, I see what you're saying.
Was Sableye and Pokken?
I
I think.
don't
Oh no,
know.
we
Not in
googled
Pokken.
this the
I
other
think-
day. It
I
wasn't.
think we had this conversation.
We did.
already.
We did have this exact conversation, and then we googled if it was in Pokken, and I did find the answer, and then I already forgot it. But no, I know the answer. It's not in Pokken. Anyways. Yeah, that team was insane. But yeah, there's like a lot of other teams that are probably worth talking about. I think I'll just leave that to another stream later in the week because this has gone on for very long, and I'm still going to be streaming. So if you guys want to hear, takes on the rest of these, check us out tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll come back and I'll talk about the rest of the teams that we didn't talk about. There's like Screamtail. There was a lot of funny ones. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the last section here. I forgot to open a tab for it, but nerd now. Calc is right. Let's go ahead and talk about calcs. I'll start us off because I had my one from earlier, and I do want to know the answer. It's a pretty boring one, but let's talk about Stellar, Urshifu, Jolly. Adi should be the one that gets this. If he doesn't get it, he's a fraud. He's a fake. But yeah, Jolly Ursh close combat with Stellar Terra into opposing just no bulk Ursh, 4 HP. So like a Scarf Ursh if you were Scarf Water Ursh, of course. How much is the Stellar close combat doing to another Urshifu? We're talking 252 Jolly versus 4 HP.
I have my answer.
And Mont, you know the rule. You just kind of like say verbally when you're ready, and I call on the people, right?
I'm ready. Yeah, I know
All right.
my answer.
Cool. We're gonna pick Adi last because he is, the benchmark. He should have the correct answer. And I don't want anybody influencing their answers based on what he says. So let's start with Burns.
I'm gonna go with 85.
All right, Mont.
Guess I believe a little more. 88.
Adi, what's the correct answer?
Y'all are right. It does not KO if you're Jolly. I think it does KO if you're Adamant, so I'm going 93.
All right. Urshifu, I can just put the Scarf set in, technically, fighting each other. Yeah, I probably would have been a more interesting calc if it was Adamant, but Adi ran Jolly, so I went with what Adi ran. Stellar Terra, close combat. Seeing 78 to 93.1. I think Adi said 93, so Adi is in fact
Did.
in there. He's just high rolls. He's a high roller. You know him. He's like, I only hit the max roll. Anyways.
The roller.
Mont, I think you said, I think you both said in the 80s, so you're just in there. Or no.
I said 88, and I said 85.
88.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the entire 80s are in there. So anything in that would have been a fine range. Who's got one next?
One.
I do have one planned. Oh, go ahead. You can go.
In tournament.
All right, Burns, what is it?
Okay. So it's just the standard Miraidon specs Terra Electric Volt Switch
Okay.
into 236 HP Amoongus, 36 SDEF, critical hit.
A critical hit.
And they did not Terra Electric, or they did?
They did Terra.
All right.
And they're plus defense nature, not plus BDF.
Yes, they're modest, and it's the Amoongus is not plus, is not.
Right.
I got my number.
Got my number.
Audio, you good?
All right, call someone. Yeah, I'm good.
You're good. All right. Let's go with Mont first.
I don't believe it. Okay, I'm gonna go with like 81%.
All right, Audie.
I believe it. I'm gonna do the same number, 93.
All right, Alex.
I was thinking this is like getting scary, so I wanted to say 98. Let's go ahead and plug it in. We're right on. Modest, Amoongus is
Because you
not
do like
that.
60 without a crit, right? I think that was my.
You
Just
said
something like that.
236, 36, right?
Yeah.
Volt, and we gotta go click the critical hit button. 91.7 to 108.2. So it is a 50-50 to roll to KO. I'm guessing that's why Burns picked it, is that it's a 50-50.
Now, do you want to guess if it got the kill or not?
I'm guessing that you dropped.
I have my answer.
All right, Mont. Did it kill or not?
It killed.
All right, Audie. Did it kill or not?
It killed. Easily.
No. Justin would not bring this up if he wasn't salty about it. No shot, it killed.
Audie's correct. It did not kill.
Oh, okay.
It lived on like 4 HP, and I like had a mini heart attack. This was like this was against Jay, and I was down a game. And this was like turn 1, and I was like, oh my god, it's already over. But I like as the HP was going down, I was like, oh, it's so doomed. But then it stopped, thankfully.
Oh boy. Stop the count.
Took it to a game 3 and 1.
Mont, do you have a calc ready?
I do. It's a little bit spoiled because it happened on stream, but you don't really know, I guess, the upper range of it. So I'm just gonna go for it. Let's just do Calyrex Shadow, and we can just do the timid 252 special attack.
Okay.
Terra Fairy Draining Kiss, and you are at +5 special attack.
Yeah.
Helping Hand.
Yeah.
Versus the 252 HP Calyrex Ice. Yeah, like standard, like 252 HP, 252 attack, Calyrex Ice.
Okay. I've got my number.
Yeah, I got a number.
Sorry, what was the calc again?
It's plus. Go ahead, Mont.
Yeah, +5 Terra Fairy Draining Kiss with Helping Hand into Calyrex Ice with 252 HP. The Calyrex Shadow is timid 252 special attack.
Terra Fairy, right?
Yeah, Terra Fairy.
I have my answer.
I got an answer.
All right, Mont. Who's starting?
Okay, how about Alex?
Uh,
I have 115.
Okay, how about Adi?
I don't think it gets there. I think it doesn't. I almost want to do 93 again. I think it is a little less than that. I think it's going to do a 90.
Okay, Justin?
I'm just gonna hedge my bets and say 100.
100. All right.
Okay.
Safe number. So let's see. We want Calyrex Shadow. Focus Sash is good enough here.
Yeah. No boosting item
Fairy.
for the drain.
Terra Fairy +5. Helping Hand. The Astral Barrage is killing, by the way, guys, if you were curious. We got to put Trading Kits onto the set. And it's 101.9 to 120.7 is what I'm seeing.
I lost.
Damn.
Dang.
Yep. Also, really quickly, if you click the helping hand button, like turn it on and off, you'll see that it does not change by 1.5. So basically, this is like a really kind of weird mechanical thing where usually with Draining Kiss, you get like a BP boost from 50 to 60. But then when you have Helping Hand, you actually increase the BP to be out of 50, so it's now 75. So you don't get the boost to be.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
so you don't
that
get that
Adi didn't
multiplier.
know this whole
It's
time that he
weird.
was
I did
helping
not know
hand?
that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that
Okay.
mechanic at
Crazy.
all.
No, I didn't know that until today. I went to prep this calc. And I was like, I wonder if the damage calculator is wrong. So I messaged Nerd Now, and he explained this to me. And I was like, and I feel like I maybe had heard this like a long time ago with how like some of the BP modifiers apply before the check to boost them. So it's a really weird thing where you have to think about like if I Terra Fairy Draining Kiss this one turn and then next turn I Helping Hand and do it, it's only going to be like 1.2 something
So
times.
you're
as
telling me,
strong.
Mont, that I needed to consider this as well when I'm going for Helping Hand Flame Charge with my Koraidon? With Terra Fairy? Terrifying.
What's Flame Charge?
It's
Charges
50.
BP?
50. Yep.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Assuming
I-
that's the BP boost move.
Yeah, it is. What the
See,
heck?
that is.
It's a weird mechanic.
I really did not know that, and that actually like has all my mental calcs are based on how much it does at +1. I'm like, oh, it'll just do 50% more. No.
Yeah, I was kind of kicking myself also for not knowing that until after the tournament.
Oh my god. So what the heck? So I guess like
Yeah.
this is the explanation of it I'm gonna attempt is that Helping Hand is a base power modifier. I didn't think about it that way, I guess, but like it modifies the base power by 1.5.
Yeah, so now it's like 75, and 75 is greater than 60, so you don't get a boost at that point in the formula, and then you do all your other modifiers from there.
What the heck? All right, Adi, I don't think you can one up that. That's wild to me. Go ahead though.
No, I can't one up it, but I can be especially annoying. So
That's your specialty.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I saw that after day one when I was 7-0, there was another Ditto at 7-0, and I saw Justin had been using Ditto as well, and I did not know any of my Ditto calcs, and it's especially annoying with Calyrex Shadow because that's pretty annoying to that guy, right? But it turns out Ditto can't copy your Terra, so I'm Terra Fairy, and they're always Terra Ghost, which means that I have a defensive Terra, and they have an offensive Terra when they copy my
True.
Calyrex Shadow, which is also very annoying. So let's do this. Let's say I get to +2 Combine, so I'm +2, and then I Astral Barrage and I take 2 KOs. So I'm at +4/+2. The Ditto comes in and it copies my Calyrex Shadow, right? My Calyrex Shadow is 84 special attack modest, and their Ditto has +4 special attack. My Calyrex Shadow has 188 HP, 4 Spadef, and it has Friend Guard and is Terra Fairy, and is +2 Spadef. How much does it take from the Terra Ghost +4 Astral Barrage?
Wait, so they're
So
+4.
it is a Calyrex Shadow with
Yes.
84 special attack modest, Terra Ghost with +4 special attack
Yes.
into a Calyrex Shadow that is Terra Fairied, 188 HP, 4 Spadef, Terra Fairy with +2 Spadef and Friend Guard up.
+2 Spadef Friend Guard versus +4.
And just to be clear, I did all these calcs and memorized all these calcs in case I played Joe at 7-0. For not only +4 but also +3 and +2. I went all in on prepping that night.
That's funny. That's so funny. Okay, so I'm ready.
I have my answer.
I have my answer.
All right. Alex, since you neither use Ditto or Caloric Shadow, I expect you to know this the least, so I'm going to go with you first.
Hell yes, you know it. I want to say 82.
All right, Justin, what you got?
I'm gonna say like. Okay, so
All right, I'm skipping Justin. He's taking too long. Mont, what do you got?
I think 87.
87. All right, back to Justin.
okay, so wait, how much HP are you on your Calyrex?
188 HP for Spadef.
Okay, so you definitely don't get 2-hit kill. I don't think you get 2-hit killed by like your own Astro Barrage. And this is like basically a 1.5 damage boost from like +4 versus +2. So I'm gonna go with like 60%.
Dang. All right, you know what? The way that Justin put it, he might be right. We'll see. Calyrex Shadow.
He had the right way of thinking about it because, fun fact, Terra Ghost and Friend Guard actually exactly offset. So you could actually disregard those two.
That's
I
fun.
forgot about Terra Ghost and Friend Guard. So
on purpose, though. On purpose. Wait, can you? I've never actually done this. Can you put Ditto into the damage calc? You can, but it's just how much damage Ditto takes. Okay.
I had to sit there and change. I run a Caloric Shadow that had a base 48 HP stat and 252 HP EVs to try to calc for that.
That's funny. Okay, so 252. So what you 188? Did you say?
So I am 188 HP for Spadef and 84 special attack modest on the Ditto.
This one should be 84 modest. We are +2 Spadef here. We are +4 special attack here. We are not helping hand to get rid of that. Terra, yes. Terra, yes. Friend Guard here. And I think we've finally finished it. Adi was the answer around 67 to 79.8.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I think I said 82. So a little too high for me. Mont, what did you say again?
High. It was high for me as well. I had like 87.
Mm-hmm. Burns, what did you say again? I think you were under.
I said 60.
Oh yeah, you were also under. So none of us got it. Adi duped us all with this calc.
Yeah. I had to know. I told you I literally knew all these calcs. I have them written in my notes somewhere in case I faced a Ditto.
Mm-hmm.
So silly. I will say the one funny line that we thought of that Rajan and I thought of the previous night was that the best case scenario was to take 2 KOs with Astro Barrage and then side parting shot into Clefairy, so you're only at +3 special attack and +2 Spadef. But knowing exactly what HP you have to be at to take a KO was going to be very annoying.
Okay, so that's going to be it for Tub Takes this week. Thank you guys for the shout out to the guests, of course, for staying on for so long. Appreciate everybody hanging in here for so much yapping. But yeah, we're gonna conclude it here. I'll figure out who we're gonna throw the raid to. Let me go look. Also, Adi, I never actually pulled up your clip. Was your clip 6 minutes?
Yeah, it's 6 minutes of me talking about Caloric Shadow balance. Everyone laughing at me.
Okay, that's fine. I just wasn't gonna pull up a 6-minute clip on the
no
stream.
You don't have to.
Yeah, Graham, the video will be on YouTube tomorrow. You're exactly the person that we are announcing that for here at the end. So anyways, I think Sableye is streaming Tommy Tuesday. Pretty sure it's Tommy Tuesday. So that tournament's probably going on right now. You can see people stealing the teams from LA. See who's the best, new pilot of Mont's team, because Mont is surely not the best pilot of his team anymore. It's already somebody else who's stolen it. Unfortunately, the baton has been passed. Anything else that we need to mention before we get out of here? I don't really think so, right?
Make sure to follow if you haven't. Thank you to everyone who stuck around from the raid. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, go say hi to Ryan.
Yeah, and more streams later this week. So yeah, some more ladder streams and just talking about the meta and previewing NAIC. eventually a NAIC draft stream too, or a fantasy draft. That'll be fun. When is Audie's team report going to be live?
I'll get it out this week. Sometime
Got
this week.
All right. All right. You guys have a good time over there, and have a good rest of your night. Peace out.